What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is a story where Issei was the vessel of the legendary Dark Knight, Sparda. Issei Hyoudou, a normal student at Kuoh Academy, wielded a sacred gear and held the title of Red Dragon Emperor, a respected warrior despite his perversion. Yet, all of his achievements were rendered meaningless when his younger brother, Dai Hyoudou, stole his glory and accomplishments. Worse, Dai spread false claims that Issei was a fraud. Betrayed by his lovers and friends, who turned their backs on him in favor of Dai, Issei found himself alone. Worse still, the faction saw him as nothing more than a disposable tool, useful only until his purpose was fulfilled. And so, his title as a pillar of the faction was stripped away and handed to Dai. During his battle against Nyx to free Ingvild from her control, Dai seized the opportunity, taking credit for the victory and proclaiming himself Ingvild's savior. With no further use for Issei, Dai struck him down, driving the Dragon Slayer holy sword, Ascalon, into his chest, seemingly killing him. But fate had other plans. From the depths of despair, Issei awakened something demonic. A power so terrifying that even a devil may cry at its presence. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 1. The battlefield lay in utter devastation at night. Scorched earth stretched as far as the eye could see, the shattered remains of once mighty structures reduced to cinders. The air was thick with the stench of burning ozone and divine remnants, the last echoes of a godly war fading into silence. At the heart of the destruction, a lone figure stood. Issei Hyoudou. Bloodied, bruised, barely holding himself together. Each breath came as a ragged gasp, his vision flickering at the edges, body screaming in agony. But despite the torment, despite the pain tearing through every muscle, his brown eyes remained fixed on one thing. Ingvild Leviathan. She lay motionless amidst the rubble, her form finally freed from the cruel grasp of Nyx, the primordial goddess of darkness. Nearby, Nyx herself had fallen, her divine form flickering, her once mighty presence reduced to a hollow husk. The battle had stripped her of everything just as it had stripped him. But Issei didn't care about Nyx. His only focus was her. He had to reach her. Now. Issei, Ingvild. With what little strength he had left, he crawled forward, fingers digging into the fractured ground. Every inch felt like agony, every movement a fresh wave of blistering pain. His wounds screamed in protest, but he ignored them. And then. A sound. A single heavy, metallic footstep. Clang. Issei froze. His body locked up, instinct screaming at him to move. Clang. The sound reverberated through the silence, deliberate and calculated. Something was coming. Through the lingering smoke and flickering embers, a figure emerged. And Issei's blood turned to ice. The living weapon. Towering over the battlefield, a nightmare in steel and power stood before him. A humanoid shape, yet undeniably draconic. Its armor a jagged, angular fusion of obsidian plating and pulsating crimson energy. Every inch of its form exuded destruction, its mere presence a manifestation of annihilation itself. Its head was featureless, save for a single eerie red visor, scanning the battlefield with inhuman precision. Broad, armored shoulders bristled with spike-like protrusions, giving it the appearance of a war-forged predator. Its arms were encased in titanic gauntlets, ending in razor-sharp claws that looked capable of tearing through mountains. And behind it. The long, serpentine tail swayed slowly, the air around it warping from its sheer presence. This was no mere opponent. This was something far beyond any enemy he had faced before. And in his current state. He was powerless. The evil dragon's balance breaker. This was Kuoh, the legendary evil dragon sealed into a sacred gear, its draconic might reborn in perfection. The warrior's visored gaze swept the battlefield, its unreadable face tilting slightly, analyzing the devastation. Checking for witnesses. There were only 3. Nyx unconscious. Ingvild helpless. And Issei broken. The silence that followed was suffocating. Issei's fists clenched against the rubble. He knew. He wasn't making it out of this unscathed. The armor of Kuoh's balance breaker then disappears, revealing a young male with spiky brown hair and sharp brown eyes. His expression is calm and serious, with a slightly focused gaze. He wears a light-colored, double-breasted coat with a high collar, layered over a black scarf wrapped around his neck. His hands are partially covered by black fingerless gloves, and he carries a light-colored messenger bag with dark straps over his shoulder. His overall appearance is stylish and modern, with a cool and compassed demeanor. The moonlight cast eerie shadows over the shattered battlefield, its pale glow illuminating the bloodied and broken form of Issei Hyoudou. His body was barely holding itself together, fresh wounds oozing crimson, his once mighty form now pinned to a wall of fractured stone. His breath came in ragged pained gasps, but his golden eyes burned with something that refused to die. Hatred. Hatred for the man standing before him. Dai Hyoudou. His younger brother. A snake in human form. A manipulator, a liar, a thief, someone who had spent years stealing everything from Issei, piece by piece. His reputation. His achievements. His friends. His lovers. His family. Even his own foster sister had been turned against him. And now. Dai was here to take the last thing he had left. Issei gritted his teeth, his fingers clenching into bloody fists as he glared up at the smirking bastard standing over him. Issei. Dai. The name left his lips like venom, but Dai's only response was a mocking grin. He knelt down, gripping the torn fabric of Issei's uniform, before dragging him away, his bloodied form scraping against the rubble-strewn ground. Away from Nyx. Away from Ingvild. To a place shrouded in ruin and darkness, where no one could witness what was about to happen. Dai's grip tightened, his voice oozing with condescension. Dai. Thank you for making my job so much easier, Ani-san. You fought well, truly. But it's time for you to retire. Issei's eyes blazed, but his body wouldn't move. Dai threw him against the wall, the impact sending a sharp crack through the air, spiderweb fractures spreading across the surface behind him. Then, before Issei could react, cuffs of glowing light snapped around his wrists and ankles, locking him in place. Trapped. Bound. Helpless. Dai stepped back, crossing his arms as he tilted his head, mocking amusement dancing in his eyes. Dai. You know, Ani-san, you should have just accepted your place. You were always the pathetic son that mom and dad never asked for. A disgrace to the clan. So it's only natural. He leaned in, his voice a whisper of pure malice. Dai. That everything you own belongs to me now. Then. A magic circle flared to life in Dai's hand, pulsing with holy energy. And from it. A blade of legend emerged. The Ascalon. A holy sword meant for slaying dragons. The very weapon that had once been entrusted to Issei, now wielded against him by the very man who had stolen everything from him. The sight of it sent a jolt of horror through Issei's veins. His breath hitched. His muscles tensed. Dread crawled up his spine. Dai grinned, eyes glinting with sadistic glee as he stepped forward, gripping the sword's hilt tightly. Dai. But don't worry, brother. He lifted the blade high, its holy edge gleaming under the moonlight. Dai. You won't be needing your pathetic sacred gear where you're going. Then. Stab. Darkness. The world around Issei faded. The pain of the holy blade still burned in his chest, its dragon-slaying power rampaging through his body, tearing him apart from the inside. Blood poured from the wound. His limbs felt cold. His heartbeat slowed. He could hear his own ragged breaths, each one weaker than the last. And through his blurred vision, he saw Dai standing over him, victorious. Dai. You've served your purpose. Now die. With a twist of sadistic glee, Dai drove Ascalon deeper. A sickening squelch. Issei's body jerked, a choked gasp escaping his lips. His vision darkened further. Then. Dai ripped the sword out. A gush of crimson spilled forth, painting the ground beneath Issei a deeper shade of red. His body slumped forward, barely hanging on. His head tilted downward, blood dripping from his lips. And then. Silence. Dai scoffed, glancing at his older brother's motionless corpse with nothing but disdain. Then, without a second thought. He turned away. He didn't care. Issei was nothing to him. As far as he was concerned. His older brother never existed. Dai walked away, his footsteps echoing across the battlefield. Ahead of him, lying unconscious and helpless. Ingvild Leviathan. A sick grin spread across his face as he approached her. Dai. Ingvild-chan. You're mine now. With a flicker of crimson energy, his body was consumed by balance breaker armor, the monstrous draconic plating gleaming under the pale moonlight. Then, without hesitation. He scooped Ingvild into his arms, lifting her bridal style, her unconscious form limp against his chest. He glanced one last time at the battlefield, at the broken, ruined body of his older brother, at the naked, unconscious form of Nyx. No witnesses. No one to challenge him. No one to stop him. Dai Hyoudou had won. Or so he thought. Because beneath the crimson-stained rubble, in the depths of death's embrace, something inside Issei stirred. Not his sacred gear. Something older. Something darker. Something that had been waiting. And now. It has awakened. While Ingvild was unconscious, she dreamed of her childhood 112 years ago, when she was just a little girl. Flashback. 112 years ago. Back when Ingvild was just a little girl, she lay on her bed at night, clutching her blanket dearly while looking up at her father, Lucius Leviathan, a descendant of the Devil King Leviathan, with a joyful expression. Ingvild. Daddy, can you tell me a bedtime story? Lucius smiled warmly at his young daughter, cherishing the sight of her peaceful and happy. He reached out, gently patting her head before letting out a light chuckle. Lucius. Alright, sweetie. I'll tell you a bedtime story. Reaching for a book from the nearby shelf, he pulled out an old yet well-kept tome titled The Dark Knight. With practiced ease, he flipped open the pages, settling beside his daughter as he began to narrate. Lucius. Long ago, before the four great Satans ruled the underworld, there was a devil who sat upon the throne of darkness of being feared by all. His name was Mundus, the Prince of Darkness, and he ruled the underworld with an iron fist. As Lucia spoke, Ingvild's imagination painted vivid images in her mind, a grand, imposing figure seated on a throne of black stone, his third eye glowing ominously as legions of devils knelt before him. Lucius. His ambition knew no bounds. He sought to conquer all of creation, the supernatural world, and even the realm of humanity itself. The angels, the fallen angels, and all the great mythological factions stood against him, but none could match his might. The pages of the book depicted a battlefield consumed by chaos, divine beings and monstrous devils clashing in an endless war. Lucius. At his right hand stood his most powerful general, Sparda, the Dark Knight. A warrior without equal, a devil feared by both his enemies and allies. Wherever he went, the forces of the alliance fell before his blade. A beautifully detailed depicted illustration of Sparda, clad in his dark armor, appeared. His sword was drenched in the blood of his foes, his presence dominating the battlefield. Ingvild gripped her blanket tighter, completely enthralled. Lucius. But then. Something changed. The next page revealed Sparda standing before a defenseless human, their body trembling in fear as they begged for mercy. Lucius. In that moment, something awakened within him, something no devil had ever truly felt before. Sparda's grip on his sword trembled, his crimson eyes reflecting the destruction wrought by his own hands. He saw the innocent lives crushed under Mundus's reign, not just warriors, but men, women, and children slaughtered without mercy. Lucius. Guilt. The word hung heavy in the air. Lucius. For the first time, Sparda felt guilt. And that guilt led to something even greater: resolve. The next image was one of rebellion, Sparda standing against his own kin, leading a charge alongside the very beings he once sought to destroy. Lucius. Sparda and those who followed him turned against Mundus. They fought alongside angels, fallen angels, and gods, waging war against the Prince of Darkness. And in the end. The final page of the chapter showed Sparda standing victorious, Mundus's broken form sealed away beneath an unbreakable spell. The Dark Knight's once feared blade was now a symbol of salvation. Lucius. He won. He saved humanity. But in doing so, he became something neither side could truly accept. Ingvild blinked in confusion as her father's expression darkened slightly. Lucius. Though Sparda had saved the world, he was never considered a hero in the eyes of his own kind. The illustration now showed Sparda and of the devils that stood with him standing alone, the supernatural factions behind him, watching in silence, while the devils he once called comrades glared at him with hatred and betrayal. Lucius. To the underworld, he was a traitor. Ingvild's smile faded slightly as she looked at the lonely figure in the book. Ingvild. But. He saved everyone, didn't he? Why wouldn't they see him as a hero? Lucius closed the book gently, his gaze softening as he ran a hand through his daughter's hair. Lucius. Because, my dear. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones the world refuses to acknowledge. Ingvild didn't fully understand at the time, but something about those words stayed with her. Long after the candlelight dimmed and sleep took her, the image of the lonely Dark Knight remained in her dreams. Flashback end. Back in the present, Issei remained pinned against the ruined debris, his body lifeless, the crescent-shaped restraint still binding his limbs. Blood dripped from his motionless form, pooling beneath him. Within his consciousness, Drake was fighting desperately to keep his host alive, his voice echoing through the fading darkness of Issei's mind. Drake. Hang in there, partner. You have to keep living, just don't let go. But then. Something unexpected happened. Issei's closed eyes suddenly snapped open, now glowing a deep crimson red. A dark, ominous energy, a demonic aura unlike anything before, erupted from his body, consuming the battlefield in a wave of violent dark crimson light. The crescent-shaped cuffs shattered instantly, their divine properties meaningless before the overwhelming force now surging within him. The moment his feet touched the ground, his stab wound vanished, completely regenerating as if it had never existed. But it wasn't just his wounds. He was no longer the same. As the crimson energy dissipated, Issei's new form was revealed. His once brown hair had turned pure white, his once warm brown eyes were now cold, icy blue. His entire presence had shifted. His expression was no longer the passionate, hot-blooded, perverted one he once wore. Instead, his face was cold, serious, and unreadable. Drake, still linked to his host, was left stunned. The dragon could feel it. Issei had changed. His power had skyrocketed beyond anything he had ever sensed before. This wasn't a balance breaker. This wasn't Juggernaut Drive. This was something far beyond that. Drake. Issei. Then, all at once memories came rushing back to him. Drake remembered. Since Issei was his host, Drake had always been able to see fragments of his past. But now, for the first time, he saw the truth. Issei Hyoudou was never just Issei Hyoudou. The name, the identity, it was a vessel. A vessel for a soul. The soul of the legendary Dark Knight Sparda. He existed. He wasn't just a myth or a fairy tale. He had walked this world before and he was here once again. And with him, the dark legend of the Mad Prince of Darkness, Mundus. The truth of Sparta's past came flooding back. During the Great War, the cataclysmic battle between the biblical factions, where angels, fallen angels, and devils clashed in an endless bloodbath, Sparda had been there. But he had not fought for conquest. He had fought to protect humanity. He had stood alone, against the tide of war, trying to shield the innocent from the chaos. But betrayal had come from within. A faction of devil's traitors had struck him down from behind. Mortally wounded, his once mighty form had crumbled. But Sparda was not one to accept death so easily. Using the last remnants of his power, he enacted a desperate plan. He divided himself. But the aid of a Satan who had once respected him, Lucifer, who was also injured, Sparda split his very existence into 5 legendary relics. The first 3 relics. Forsage. The dormant embodiment of his destructive power, sealed away until the time was right. Rebellion. The sword capable of uniting humans and devils, a weapon imbued with limitless demonic potential. Yamato. The blade so sharp, it could sever the fabric of space and time itself, and the complete opposite of the rebellion, as it is capable of separating man from devil, giving it the nickname, the Dark Slayer. The 4th relic. An amulet, split in 2. Containing his vast magical abilities, waiting for the day they would be restored. The 5th and final piece. His soul. Sparda had awakened once more. As the flood of memories continued, Drake saw yet another revelation, one that had been hidden from history. Lucifer had not perished in the Great War. Instead, he had done something forbidden, something so sacrilegious that the current devil kings and the ruling council had buried the truth. He had transformed himself into a devil arm. A sentient weapon. This ancient and heavily forbidden technique had long been erased from records, deemed a violation of the natural order. Yet Lucifer had willingly undergone this transformation not for power, not for conquest, but to protect Sparda's soul. He had fused with it, becoming its silent guardian. And now, Sparda no, Issei Hyoudou was reborn. Issei smirked. The sensation of raw power coursing through his veins was intoxicating. He felt alive in a way he never had before. He clenched his fist, testing the sheer strength in his reborn body. His once dull brown locks had turned silver white, and the cold icy blue hue of his eyes reflected his newfound clarity. As he gazed down, he caught sight of his reflection in a puddle of water nearby. Issei. Damn. Not bad. I actually like this. Drake's voice rumbled in his mind, still coming to terms with everything. Drake. Partner. Now that you've awakened your true self, do you wish to return? To reclaim your place as the faction's hero? For a moment, there was silence. Then, Issei let out a low, mocking chuckle. Issei. Return? Oh, no, no, no. They already have Dai for that. Let him be their perfect little hero. Besides, I was nothing but a tool to them from the start. I'm done playing that role. Drake. And what of the Leviathan girl? Are you sure you're just going to leave her? At that, Issei paused. His smirk faltered just slightly. A small sigh escaped him, knowing exactly how things would play out. Issei. Her. We both know how this goes. Dai's going to brainwash her, turn her against me just like he did with the others. He scoffed, shaking his head. Issei. And my feelings. TCH. Screw them. I have one goal now, to protect humanity from whatever threats come next. That's it. A heavy silence settled between them. Drake, however, couldn't help but notice the difference between the old Issei and the one standing before him now. This wasn't the same perverted, idealistic fool who craved affection and recognition. This was Sparda. And then an idea struck the dragon. Drake. If this is the path you're choosing. The dragon's voice became stronger, more resolute. Drake. Then I'm coming with you. Issei raised an eyebrow. Issei. Really now? Drake. You said it yourself, didn't you? A dragon never abandons its partner. A smirk tugged at Issei's lips. Issei. Heh. Guess you're right. Then, Drake dropped a revelation of his own. Drake. But there's something else you need to know. During your awakening, not only did you become a pure devil, but because of your overwhelming power, you also turned me into a devil. Issei's eyes widened at the statement. Issei. Wait, what? Drake rumbled with amusement. Drake. Your awakening didn't just restore you, it changed everything. Your sheer demonic energy rewrote the very foundation of my existence. Issei. Alright. But where are you going with this? Then, Drake spoke the words that made Issei freeze. Drake. I'm going to turn myself into a devil arm. Issei's eyes widened in shock. Issei. Wait, hold on a damn second. Your Drake cut him off. Drake. A sacred gear. A low, amused growl echoed in his mind. Drake. Not anymore. Issei stiffened. Drake. When you awakened, your sacred gear, my sacred gear, was destroyed. But I remain inside you. I am still here. Issei stood there, speechless. Drag, the Red Dragon Emperor, the Welsh dragon, the heavenly dragon of domination, was now something entirely new. Suddenly, both of Issei's hands and foot were engulfed in green light. After that, the light faded, revealing a gauntlets on both of his arms and boots on both of his foot. As these gauntlets were similar to his balance breaker form. Issei stood there, smirking as he felt the power surging within him. His former sacred gear, Drag, the mighty heavenly dragon, was no more, now reborn as a devil arm. Then a presence. His icy blue eyes narrowed as he sensed multiple entities appearing on the battlefield. Shrek, a dark, swirling portal of hellish energy ripped open, and from its depths, 10 figures emerged. 5 Hellkainas. Tall, skeletal figures draped in tattered black robes, their bony fingers gripping massive scythes. Their hollowed-out skulls glowed with an eerie crimson light, resembling the Grim Reaper himself. And alongside them, 5 riots. Reptilian demons, their hunched-over forms covered in jagged, obsidian black scales. Their razor-sharp claws twitched with anticipation, their elongated mouths curling into grotesque grins. Then, without warning, shink. Their bodies began to shift and contort. The riots curled in on themselves, limbs retracting into their bodies as their spines extended outward until they had transformed into rolling, bladed wheels. A sharp whirring noise filled the air as they spun rapidly in place, the sound akin to a saw blade grinding against steel. Issei exhaled, his smirk widening. Issei. TCH. I just got reborn, and I'm already getting a welcome party. His fingers twitched. He could feel it, the sheer power coursing through his veins. His new form. His devil arm. And he was ready to test it out. Issei. Alright then. He cracked his neck. Issei. Let's dance. The creatures hissed and growled, their glowing red eyes locking onto Issei. They weren't here by accident. They were summoned. He then positioned himself into a fighting stance with his devil arm rolling his neck as the Hellkainas slowly circled him, their claws twitching eagerly. The green jewel on the gauntlet then brights up as its power got boosted. Boost. Drag's voice rumbled within him. Drag. Be careful, partner. These things are mindless, but they move in packs. Take your eyes off one, and another will strike. Issei's smirk widened. Issei. Then I'll just kill them all before they get the chance. The first riot lunged, curling into a spinning saw blade of flesh and bone, screeching as it charged straight for him. Issei's eyes flashed. With lightning speed, he sidestepped, barely missing the whirling death trap, and brought his devil arm down in a single brutal swing. Blow. And the riot was blown in an instant. Blood and viscera splattered across the ruined battlefield as the creature's remains twitched violently before collapsing into dust. The other devils staggered back, momentarily hesitating. Issei twirled his devil arm effortlessly, cracking his neck. Issei. Alright. Who's next? The remaining 9 devils shrieked. And all at once, they attacked. The riot screeched, their bodies twisting into spinning death wheels as they rushed Issei from all sides. The Hellkainas raised their scythes high, preparing to cleave him apart the moment an opening appeared. But Issei smirked. In a flash, he moved. Boom. The ground shattered beneath his feet as he launched forward, a red blur of destruction. His gauntlet-clad fist slammed into the first riot, sending it rocketing backward like a cannonball. The creature's body tore through a crumbling wall before exploding into viscera. But Issei was already moving. 2 more riots lunged. He spun his foot, arsing through the air. Crack. A brutal roundhouse kick caught one riot mid-spin, snapping its body in half. Its severed remains twitched before turning to dust. The second riot came down, its serrated blades aiming to carve him apart. Issei's hand shot up, catching it mid-air. The creature screeched, writhing wildly until Issei crushed its throat in his grip. With a flick of his wrist, he flung it skyward. His devil arm morphed, shifting into a long-barreled demonic firearm. Issei aimed up. Boom. A crimson blast of energy tore through the air, piercing straight through the riot's chest. It detonated into a rain of gore. The remaining demons hesitated, but the Hellkainas wasted no time. With inhuman speed, they descended upon him, scythes glowing with cursed flames. Issei grinned, bringing his fists up once more. Issei. Finally. A real fight. Then. The battlefield ignited in chaos once again. The Hellkainas came from all sides, their scythes whistling through the air, each strike aiming to tear Issei limb from limb. But Issei was faster. Clang. The first scythe swung at his neck, but he tilted his head back, the blade missing by mere inches. A second kaina lunged from behind, its weapon slicing horizontally toward his waist. Swoosh. Issei twisted his body mid-air, his agility inhuman, the blade missing him completely. Then he countered. His knee shot up, colliding straight into the kaina's ribsage. Crunch. The creature gargled in pain as it was launched backward, crashing through a broken pillar. The remaining 4 attacked at once. Slash slash slash. A deadly dance of scythe swings and evasions filled the battlefield. Sparks flew as their blades clashed against his devil arm. But Issei was getting faster. His icy blue eyes glowed, his reflexes sharpening with every second. One kinda overextended its swing. Issei exploited the opening. He stepped inside its guard and… boom. A brutal uppercut with his devil arm ripped straight through its torso, sending it spiraling into the sky. The creature barely had time to react before. Bang. Issei pointed his gun arm up and fired. A green light shot of pure demonic energy obliterated the Kaina midair, reducing it to ash. The remaining Kainas screeched in fury. They unleashed a dark energy wave, a massive arc of cursed flames meant to consume him whole. Issei didn't move. He simply grinned. Then… boom. His entire body pulsed with red demonic energy, and in an instant, he vanished. Whoosh. The Kaina's attack struck nothing but empty air. Before they could react. Slash. A crimson arc tore through the battlefield. One by one their bodies split apart, their forms disintegrating into dust. Standing behind them, his devil arm resting on his shoulder, was Issei. He didn't even look back. He just smirked. Issei. Too slow. As the last remnants of the demons faded into nothingness, Issei exhaled, rolling his shoulders. The battle was over. Issei. I like this. Way better than when I used my balance breaker. Drake. Easy there, partner. Now that the chaos is cleared, what's your next move? Issei then unequipped Drake, the devil arm dissolving into a flash of green light before vanishing. He took a moment to gather his thoughts, considering their next steps. Issei. We're going back to Japan. Drake's mood shifted instantly, shock evident in his voice. Drake. Are you out of your mind? That country is crawling with devils, especially the ones who betrayed you. Issei let out a light chuckle at Drake's reaction. His decision wasn't reckless, nor was he planning to return to Kuoh. Issei. Come on, Drake. What's wrong with Japan? It's a good place. Besides, it's not like I'm going back to Kuoh. That cesspool is filled with assholes anyway. Drake was momentarily confused. If Issei wasn't heading to Kuoh, then where? Issei. I'm going to Kobe. Home of the Wagyus. More importantly, there's someone there who can help me. Drake. And how exactly are you planning to get there? Issei smirked, his confidence unwavering. A faint crimson aura flickered around him. Issei. Watch the magic happen. With a mere flick of his wrist, a magic circle formed beneath him, glowing with Sparda's demonic emblem at its core. The symbols pulsed with ancient power as the spell activated. In the blink of an eye, Issei vanished, teleporting from Greece to Kobe, Japan, in an instant. Japan. Kobe, time. 4:54 p.m. In the afternoon light of Kobe, a familiar magic circle flickered to life in a dimly lit alleyway. The intricate demonic symbols glowed briefly before Issei materialized within its center, his form solidifying as the energy dispersed. Stepping forward, he emerged from the alley onto the bustling streets, his icy blue eyes scanning his surroundings. The scent of grilled meat and fresh seafood drifted through the air, mingling with the hum of daily life. His gaze soon landed on a modern high-rise hotel across the street. The Dai Hyoudou Hotel Kobe Sanemiya Premier. Issei smirked to himself. Issei. Well, this should do for now. Without hesitation, he crossed the street, making his way toward the hotel entrance. As Issei walked into the hotel security area, the guards immediately took notice of him. His torn Kuoh Academy uniform, stained with dirt and blood, made him look out of place like a troublemaker or, worse, a low-ranking Yakuza thug trying to book a room. Their hands subtly shifted toward their radios, but as they observed him more closely, they hesitated. Something about him, his aura, his confidence was unsettling, yet not openly hostile. After a few tense moments, they let him pass without confrontation. Once inside, Issei strode toward the hotel counter. Hotel lobby. Reception desk. Hotel staff. Good afternoon, sir. The receptionist, a well-dressed man with neatly combed hair, greeted him with a polite smile. But Issei didn't return the pleasantries. Instead, he formed a kunai using magic, gripping it tightly before stabbing it into his own wrist. Dark red blood dripped down his fingers, coating the blade. He then placed the bloodied kunai onto the counter, his gaze locked onto the receptionist's. The once friendly atmosphere instantly turned cold. The receptionist's smile vanished, replaced with an expression of extreme seriousness. Hotel staff. Maintenance room area. Show them the kunai. They'll let you in. Issei gave a slight nod, retrieving the blood-stained kunai before turning away to find the maintenance room area. As they walked, Drake's voice echoed in his mind, filled with confusion. Drake. What was that? Are we in a devil territory, partner? And how the hell did you even form a kunai? Issei chuckled lightly. Issei. Years of sorcery in my past life, and no, we're not in a devil territory. Drake was still completely lost. Drake. Then what territory are we even in? Issei smirked as he let out a short, amused chuckle, eyes scanning the hallway as he approached his destination. Issei. We're in Yakuza Group's territory owned by the Kai no Murray, better known as the Blood Race. Finding the maintenance room, Issei knocked firmly on the door. Almost instantly, it swung open, revealing a tall, muscular man with a cold glare and an aggressive stance. The man's presence alone was intimidating, but Issei remained calm. Without a word, he held up the bloodstained kunai. The man examined it for a moment before silently stepping aside, motioning for Issei to enter. The moment he stepped in, the door locked behind him. A second, more secure door was then unbolted, revealing a staircase leading downward to the underground hideout of the Blood Race. The enforcer leading him remained silent, walking ahead. Drake, on the other hand, was not silent at all. Drake. Oh, what? Are you out of your mind? Why are we even here? What could we possibly gain from dealing with a damn Yakuza group? Issei, still smirking, followed his guide down the steps, his tone calm and confident. Issei. Relax, Drake. I know what I'm doing. Drake. Oh, you know what you're doing, right? Yeah, that explains everything. Issei ignored the sarcasm, continuing. Issei. The Kai no Murray aren't just any Yakuza group. They specialize in selling supernatural artifacts on the black market. They know about the supernatural factions, but they don't belong to any of them. They steal, trade, and sell everything, whether it's a Longinus, a devil's sword, or even a holy weapon. If it has value, they can get it. And more importantly, they have eyes and ears everywhere, including in the underworld. Drake was stunned. Drake. How the hell do I not know about this? How do you even know them? Issei chuckled. Issei. Back when I was still the faction's pillar, I dug up some information about them. The devils have long considered the Blood Race a threat, but they never acted against them because of how well connected they are. Even some high-ranking fallen and stray devils secretly do business with them. He smirked again. Issei. And as for how I knew how to get in. Well, credit goes to Gramps Kaji for that one. He taught me the entry test. As they reached the bottom of the stairs, the hidden base of the Blood Wraiths came into full view. The massive underground facility was filled with forgers and weaponsmiths, crafting weapons capable of harming supernatural beings. In one corner, a group of artisans worked meticulously on specialized attire, weaving in enchanted fabrics and supernatural-resistant materials. All around, men sharpened blades, inspected magical artifacts, and secured shipments. Drake, still processing everything, spoke again, this time in a more controlled tone. Drake. And what exactly do you plan to do here, partner? Issei's smirk widened. Issei. Simple. I need two things: information and equipment. Suddenly, a footstep was heard. He has sharp, well-defined features with a solemn, serious expression. His medium-length brown hair is neatly styled, slightly swept to the side, adding to his refined yet intimidating presence. He wears an ornate black and gold outfit with intricate embroidery, suggesting a high rank or noble background within the organization. The red accents in his attire further emphasize power and authority. His eye patch, decorated with an elegant golden design, adds a sense of mystery and danger, possibly hinting at past battles or a symbolic representation of his status. His overall look exudes power, precision, and an air of calculated control, fitting for a formidable Yakuza leader or high-ranking enforcer. I wasn't expecting you to be our guest. More like a special guest, Sekiryuutei Dono. Issei grinned as he laid eyes on the man in charge of the Blood Race. Issei. Kenji Tsukishiro. The man behind the Blood Race. The entire room fell silent. Every pair of eyes locked onto the two men as tension filled the air. None of them had expected to see the infamous host of the Red Dragon Emperor in their territory. Issei. Honestly, I was expecting the usual, being called a fraud, a weakling. But it seems I was wrong. For once, I'm getting some respect. Kenji let out a light chuckle as he stepped forward, casually pulling a butterfly knife from his pocket. He flicked it open with effortless precision, spinning and twirling the blade between his fingers before snapping it shut and tucking it away again. Kenji. We have eyes and ears everywhere, Issei Hyoudou. You're no fraud, not to us. Especially when you're our special guest. So, tell me, what can the Blood Wraiths do for you? A smirk tugged at Issei's lips. He respected this man already. Issei. Guns. Lots of guns. And a replacement for my clothes. Kenji burst into laughter. Kenji. You really are a Kinu enthusiast, huh? Then, his expression shifted back to business. He turned to his men, his voice sharp and commanding. Kenji. You heard our guest, get moving. Scene change. The armory. Issei stepped into a weaponsmith's workshop where he was greeted by a craftsman surrounded by meticulously crafted firearms, all made from devil-forged materials. Weaponsmith. Good afternoon, Sekiryuutei Dono. How may I be of service? The weaponsmith gestured toward a massive open locker, revealing an array of swords stolen from various supernatural factions, holy swords, devil swords, enchanted relics, all taken from powerful hands and now waiting for a new owner. Issei. I'd like a tasting. Scene change. The tailor. Issei walked into the tailor's workshop, where he was greeted by a sharply dressed man who exuded refinement. Tailor. Good afternoon, Sekiryuutei Dono. Welcome to Kobe. The tailor extended his hand, and Issei shook it firmly. Issei, good afternoon Hari. Hari. Would you be needing a new suit? Issei smirked. Issei. I do. Scene change. Back to the armory. The weaponsmith placed a heavy case on the table, its metal latches clicking as he unlocked it. Weaponsmith. Since you requested a weapon that can truly pack a punch against any supernatural being, Kenji Dono has personally chosen the perfect one for you. Issei raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Issei. Show me. The weaponsmith would then open the briefcase, revealing a two heavily modified semi-automatic M1911, one is black and one is white. Each pistols have their own names written onto them, Luce and Ombra, built for dual shooting. Luce was built for left hand and Ombra was built for right hand use. Weaponsmith. These were our first prototypes that no longer requires to reload due to its demonic material. Meaning, you will not run out of ammos. These ammos were infused with both demonic and holy magic, serious business. Issei would then grab the two pistols and quickly observes the final. He would then aims it at a long shooting range with precision. And soon, he fired it as it rapidly fires, destroying the target. Practice. Issei. Good one to hit a jackpot. Issei would then turn back to the weaponsmith and puts the dual pistols back onto the case. Weapon. Any other orders, Sekiryuutei Dono? We have everything that was personally chosen by Kenji Dono. Issei would then think of his choices onto what weapon he would have next onto his arsenal. And there he made his decision. Issei. I need some fireworks. And lots of firepower. Weaponsmith. Fireworks and lots of firepower. Scene change. Back to the tailor's room. Hari worked meticulously, measuring Issei's shoulder width with a trained eye, while his assistant jotted down the numbers. With a quiet nod, he whispered instructions to his assistant before turning his attention back to the Sekiryuutei. Hari. Tell me, Sekiryuutei Dono, is this for a formal event or a mercenary business affair? Issei. Mercenary affair. Hari hummed in understanding, his hands already reaching for a sketchpad. Hari. And what style? Issei leaned back slightly, his smirk growing. Issei. Victorian. Hari's brows raised slightly, impressed by the choice. Without hesitation, he started sketching the design, his pencil gliding smoothly over the paper. Hari. Trousers. Issei. Tapered. Hari nodded approvingly, making precise notes. Hari. How about the lining? A slow grin spread across Issei's face. Issei. Stylish. Hari chuckled, already envisioning the final product. Hari. A man of taste. I like that. Scene change. Back to the armory. The weaponsmith carefully placed a modified double-barrel shotgun onto the workbench in front of Issei. Unlike a traditional shotgun, this one was uniquely crafted, equipped with a magazine for faster reloading, while still maintaining the classic ejection mechanism for spent shells. Weaponsmith. This beauty here, known as Hyoudou, is a hybrid design. Modern efficiency meets old-school firepower. No need for constant reloading, but you still get that satisfying kick of a traditional shotgun. Issei picked up the weapon, feeling its weight in his hands. The balance was perfect, and the craftsmanship was superb. He ran his fingers over the engraved demonic runes lining the barrels, pulsing faintly with magic. Weaponsmith. Infused with both demonic and holy magic, it can tear through supernatural entities like a hot knife through butter. Issei grinned, flipping the shotgun open and inspecting the modified chamber. Issei. This'll do just fine. He cocked the weapon once, testing its mechanism, before placing it back on the workbench. Weaponsmith. Anything else, Sekiryuutei Dono? Issei thought for a moment, then smirked. Issei. Something sharp, something really painful. The weaponsmith would then though for a moment onto what Issei meant and smirks. Weaponsmith. May I suggest a devil sword? Killer of death. The tailor's room was silent as the final result of the suit was revealed. It was a masterpiece. A perfect fusion of elegance and resilience. The dark high-collared tunic was adorned with intricate golden embroidery, giving it a regal yet mysterious aura. A red vest with ornate floral patterns lay beneath, adding a subtle but striking contrast to the deep, shadowy hues of the ensemble. Draped over the shoulders was a luxurious purple coat, lined with gold trimmings and decorated with vine-like engravings and skull motifs, exuding a gothic, almost mystical presence. At the center of the outfit hung a large red gemstone pendant, encased in gold, suspended from a chain across the chest. The perfect centerpiece to an outfit that demanded authority and respect. The suit had already undergone intensive testing inside an experiment chamber. It was bombarded with devil magic, only to emerge unscathed. Then, it was struck with holy light magic, and still, the damage was negligible, with only a thin layer of dust settling on its surface. The tailor staff retrieved the suit from the testing chamber, meticulously inspecting every inch. Hari ran his fingers across the fabric, checking for any unseen damages. Hari. The fabric is crafted from special supernatural materials, allowing it to regenerate from any damage upon impact. We've also enhanced it with additional elements to maximize resistance against all forms of attacks. He then pulled out a briefcase, opening it to reveal the rare and powerful materials used in the suit's construction. 1. Demonic silk. A material used by the 4 great satans in their personal attire, providing high resistance to magic while maintaining luxury and durability. 2. Dragon scales. Sourced from black market dealings, these scales provided enhanced defense against physical and magical attacks. 3. Aegis cloth. A legendary Greek fabric also acquired through illegal channels, capable of withstanding even divine-level strikes. Hari's expression darkened as he studied Issei carefully. Hari. However. His voice grew cold. Hari. This suit is built to withstand the impossible. But should you suffer lethal damage, the process of regeneration will be excruciating. Quite painful, I'm afraid. Issei merely grinned, completely unfazed by the warning. Scene shift. The armory. Back in the armory, the weaponsmith carefully carried a large case, placing it firmly on the workbench in front of Issei. He unlocked the latches and slowly opened the lid, revealing a devil's sword unlike any other. The blade gleamed ominously under the dim light, its obsidian steel pulsing with a faint cursed glow. Its jagged edges seemed to hum with raw power, and the engraved demonic runes along the fuller shifted as if alive. Weaponsmith. This is one of our most dangerous creations. Capable of harming even ultimate-class beings. Issei's eyes gleamed as he reached for the weapon, his fingers grazing the cold, lethal steel. Issei. Now this is more like it. Immense demonic power pulsating through the cursed steel. The energy within the blade was raw, untamed, almost as if it had a will of its own. Issei. Black market. Or stolen. The weaponsmith let out a dry chuckle. Weaponsmith. Black market. Some fallen angel sold it after stealing it from the underworld. Issei smirked, amused. Issei. Never knew they needed money. The weaponsmith shrugged. Weaponsmith. Everyone's got a price, even the divine. Tailor's room. Back in the tailor's room, Issei had changed out of his torn Kuoh Academy uniform, now dressed in casual attire. Issei. Where do I pick up the suit? Hari gave him a reassuring smile. Hari. Worry not, Sekiryuutei Dono. Kenji Dono has provided you with a special room as one of his honored guests. We'll send it there. Issei smirked, extending his hand. Issei, thank you Hari. Hari accepted the handshake firmly, giving a respectful nod. Back in the armory. All of Issei's chosen weapons were now neatly packed inside a reinforced briefcase. Weaponsmith. Shall I have everything delivered to your room, Sekiryuutei Dono? Issei. Yes. Thank you. Weaponsmith. Excellent. As Issei turned to leave, the weaponsmith suddenly called out. Weaponsmith. Sekiryuutei Dono. Issei paused, glancing back. Weaponsmith. Do enjoy your new life. Not as the faction's pillar, but as something else. Issei chuckled, entertained by the man's words. Issei's room. Nightfall. Inside his luxurious hotel suite, Issei stood in front of a full-length mirror, dressed in his new attire. The high-collared tunic, embroidered vest, and ornate coat fit him perfectly. A knight reborn, but forging his own path this time. He pulled both pistols from their holsters, clicking the hammers back, checking their mechanisms. Then, he ejected a spent round from Hyoudou, watching it spin before catching it midair. Satisfied, he turned his attention to his magic. Summoning and dismissing Hyoudou repeatedly. The weight was substantial, but manageable. Carrying it around constantly would be inconvenient, but with his magic, he wouldn't have to. As the gun vanished once more into his subspace, he smirked. Issei. Not bad. A new identity. A new arsenal. A new purpose. And his journey was only just beginning. Back in the underground facility, Kenji was overseeing the entire operation until the door opens, revealing Issei in his new appearance and clothing design. He wears a dark, high-collared tunic adorned with intricate golden embroidery, giving him a refined and regal appearance. Over this, he dons a red vest with ornate floral patterns, adding a touch of elegance and contrast to the dark tones. The luxurious purple coat with gold trimmings drapes over his shoulders, featuring intricate vine-like designs and skull motifs, hinting at a Gothic or mystical influence. A large red gemstone pendant encased in gold hangs from a chain across his chest, serving as a striking centerpiece to his ensemble. Completing the look, a gold-framed monocle with a red tassel adds a sophisticated and aristocratic touch to his attire. Kenji leaned back in his chair, a cigar resting between his fingers as he exhaled a slow stream of smoke. His sharp eyes gleamed with amusement as he watched Issei approach. Kenji. Well, if it isn't the devil himself. Issei smirked, running a hand over the intricate embroidery of his new coat as he stepped forward. Issei. What do you think? I definitely have a taste for style. So. How do I pay you? Kenji chuckled, but his expression quickly turned serious. Kenji. It does suit you. But since you're short on cash, I'll give you another option. You can pay me by clearing out something for me. Issei's curiosity piqued. He folded his arms, his smirk widening. Issei. Okay, I'm listening. What do you need taken care of? Kenji's grin turned menacing. Kenji. Devil may cry. Issei's eyes narrowed slightly. Kenji. According to my associates, a bunch of devils have been plaguing my territory. Seems like those bats want to destroy my business. Your payment. Wipe them out. And as a token of appreciation for a special guest, I'll throw in a bonus. Cash up front. Issei let out an amused chuckle. Issei. Cash up front. Now you're talking my language. He cracked his knuckles, his blue eyes flashing with excitement. Issei. Alright, you've got yourself a deal. I'll handle your devil problem and consider my debt paid. With that, Issei turned on his heel, coat billowing behind him as he made his way toward the exit. Kenji watched him go, taking another drag from his cigar. Kenji. He really is one lucky devil. A smirk played on his lips. This was going to be interesting. Kobe outskirts, time. 8:13 p.m. The city of Kobe stretched out before Issei, its neon glow flickering against the rain-soaked skyline. Perched atop a skyscraper, he watched the city's veins pulse with life, but his eyes were locked onto a single target. An abandoned warehouse to the west. A demonic presence lurked there, crawling through the night like a parasite. Issei smirked, rolling his shoulders. Then, as if the universe itself set the mood, the skies cracked open, unleashing a downpour. The scent of wet concrete filled the air, and his smirk widened. Issei. Devil's cry, huh? Let's hear what that sounds like. With a running start, he dove off the rooftop in the most stylish way possible, twisting through the air before slamming down onto the street below. Rainwater splashed around him, the impact cracking the pavement beneath his boots. Without missing a beat, he sprinted forward, weaving through alleyways and rooftops, making his way to the warzone. Inside the warehouse. A group of devils sat idly inside, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. They lounged around, chatting amongst themselves, their tones dripping with arrogance. Devil number 1. You know, I wonder if that fraud of a faction's pillar is still alive. At this point, he should just be executed for his lies. Devil number 2. Seriously. That perverted runt should have had his sacred gear confiscated by Azazel ages ago. Suddenly. Crash. The roof exploded, sending metal and debris raining down on them. Their heads snapped upward just in time to see a figure descending through the hole. Issei Hyoudou. He flipped mid-air, pulling out Lucent Umbra, his twin pistols, and unloaded a storm of bullets mid-fall. The two devils never even had time to react. Their bodies were shredded before they hit the ground. Issei landed dramatically, rain dripping down his hair, his gold-embroidered coat fluttering behind him. He twirled his guns before holstering them, glancing at them with a grin. Issei. I gotta say. These babies are a damn fine start. The remaining devils, now on high alert, drew their weapons. They didn't recognize him. Not with his new hair color, not with his new suit, not with his new presence. Devil number 3. Chaos Brigade. 2 of them rushed him, their blades glinting under the flickering warehouse lights. Issei smirked, sliding his dual pistols onto his back before unsheathing his greatsword. The killer of death. Issei. I guess the party's just getting started. Dash. He vanished, blitzing forward with supernatural speed. Trickster. With a single fluid motion, he skewered the first devil through the chest, lifting him off the ground like a barbecue skewer. Issei. Swordmaster. He switched style, with a violent rip, he tore the sword free, spinning and cleaving the second devil in half in a single motion. More devils charged. One lunged from behind, snarling. Devil number 4. Eyes on me, you bastard. Issei just smirked, switching styles mid-fight. Gunslinger. With a snap, Hyoudou materialized in his left hand, already crackling with demonic magic. He whipped around, unloading a charged shot point blank. Boom. The crimson explosion of holy and demonic-infused energy obliterated the devil where he stood. Issei. And that, kids, is why you don't play with fireworks. Somewhere in the depths of his soul, Drake chuckled, the dragon's deep voice echoing in his mind. Sassy. Another devil, furious, lunged at Issei with a war cry, swinging a massive axe. Issei's eyes flashed. Royal Guard. But perfect timing, he caught the attack by performing what seems to be martial arts pose, converting the sheer force into a stored charge of demonic energy. The devil's eyes widened. Too late. Issei released it. A shockwave of raw demonic energy detonated, sending the attacker flying into a pile of crates with a bone-crunching crash. As the dust settled, Issei exhaled, his breath visible in the cold air. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he summoned his devil arm. Drake. The gauntlet shifted, morphing into a gun mode, glowing with green jade energy. Issei. Let's turn up the heat. With a single shot, he fired a roaring green flame, erupting into a destructive explosion. The scouting leader of the devils barely had time to scream before he was incinerated in an instant. The warehouse fell silent. The last surviving CCTV camera in the corner had been watching everything. Issei noticed it. With a shit-eating grin, he walked towards it, his golden eyes locking onto the lens. With a casual taunt, he pointed his finger at the camera. Issei. What you lack. He paused, then pointed at himself. A heart-shaped green flame appeared at his back, a mocking display of Drake's power. Issei. Is this? With a final flick of his hand, he slicked back his rain-soaked hair, restoring it to its usual style. Then, bang. He shot the camera, the feed cutting to static. He grinned to himself, twirling his gun before shifting it back into gauntlet form. Issei. Thought you'd like it. Issei would then make his way out from the warehouse, even if it was raining, as he heads his way back to the underground facility of the Blood Wraiths. Scene change. Kenji stood in his office, overseeing the chaotic symphony of his operation. Supernatural artifacts, weapons, and contraband were being processed. Some from raids, others from black market deals. The facility hummed with activity. Until the main entrance burst open. All eyes turned toward the dramatic figure standing in the doorway. Issei Hyoudou. His coat billowed slightly as he stepped inside, dripping wet from the rain. His golden eyes gleamed and a smug smirk played on his lips. Issei. Mission's done. It was stylish, if you ask me. Kenji let out a chuckle, leaning back in his chair. Kenji. So you really did it, huh? He snapped his fingers, signaling his henchmen. One of them stepped forward, carrying a metal case, setting it down on Kenji's desk. With a click, the case opened. Inside was a heavily modified assault rifle. The weapon was sleek and deadly, its black metal frame enhanced with gold accents. The barrel had a built-in suppressor, but the weapon's overall design screamed power rather than stealth. Runes and arcane engravings ran along the receiver, glowing faintly. This was no ordinary gun. This was a beast crafted for annihilation. Kenji grinned, watching Issei's reaction. Kenji. Consider this a down payment. For a job well done. Issei studied the assault rifle in his hands, inspecting its weight, balance, and craftsmanship. The Blackstone. Kenji leaned back, watching with a grin, puffing his cigar. Kenji. Created by the very makers of the legendary M16, enhanced with 21st century technology for one purpose. Hunting and killing. We got this from the black market and modified it to match your other weapons. Unlimited ammo, demonic and holy properties. Serious business, wouldn't you agree? Issei let out a low chuckle, feeling the power surging through the Blackstone. With a casual flick of his demonic magic, he dismissed the rifle into his personal armory. Then, another henchman stepped forward, carrying two massive briefcases and placing them on Kenji's desk. The metal locks clicked open. Inside, stacks upon stacks of 10,000 yen bills gleamed under the dim lighting. A total of 35 million yen. Kenji smirked as he exhaled a plume of smoke. Kenji. Consider this the bonus payment for a job well done. But before you leave. His gaze sharpened. Kenji. How else can my blood wraiths be of service to you? Issei paused for a moment, then made his decision. Issei. Since you guys have eyes and ears everywhere in the supernatural world, I need intel on the 5 relics of the Dark Knight. Kenji raised an eyebrow, his grin widening with intrigue. He took another drag from his cigar, exhaling slowly. Kenji. Business will be done as negotiated, Sekiryuutei dono. Issei smirked and extended his hand. Issei. Thank you for the service, Kenji dono. The two men shook hands. A silent understanding passing between them. Then, without another word, Issei turned and made his way toward the exit. As he stepped into the hidden passage leading out of the underground facility. Tucked beneath the Dai Hyoudou Hotel Kobe Sanemiya Premier. Kenji let out a quiet chuckle. Kenji. He really is one lucky devil. Underground. Unknown location. In an isolated ruined palace where the broken remains of devils littered the floor like trophies of past conquests, a hooded figure strode through the shattered gates. The eerie silence was only broken by the soft echoes of their footsteps on the ancient tattered carpet. At the far end of the hall stood a throne, forged from the remains of fallen demons, pulsing faintly with demonic energy. Upon it sat a silhouetted figure, shrouded in darkness. His mere presence warped the air around him. The hooded figure came to a halt before the throne, their head bowed in reverence before dropping to one knee. Hooded figure. I have arrived with news, Lord Pexinox. The air grew thick and heavy, an unseen force pressing down on the kneeling figure. Pexinox. Rise, my servant. His voice was like a growl from the depths of the abyss. Calm, yet brimming with power. The now identified figure, Zasui, hesitated for a moment before standing, her posture stiff with fear. Zasui. I bring both good news. And terrible news, my lord. Pexinox shifted upon his throne, letting out a low, displeased growl at the mention of terrible news. A sudden wave of pressure exploded outward, the sheer force of his demonic aura, causing the very stone beneath Zasui's feet to crack. Pexinox. Speak. Zasui. Her breath hitched as she fought the urge to collapse, but she forced herself to continue. Zasui. My lord. The terrible news is that the demons you bestowed upon me for our scouting mission in Greece have been compromised. Pexinox's eyes, hidden within the shadows, narrowed. Zasui. Our primary target, Ingvild Leviathan, has been claimed by the new pillar of the faction's alliance. The temperature in the ruined hall plummeted, the air growing thick with malice, as Pexinox's demonic presence urged. The ruined palace itself seemed to tremble under his fury. Pexinox. By who? The Satans. The cadres. Who? You should have slaughtered that wretched pillar before leaving. And yet you return empty-handed. Zasui flinched, her body trembling as she desperately tried to keep herself from collapsing under the sheer weight of his anger. Zasui. It's because the former pillar was there, Issei Hyoudou. She hesitated, knowing the next words would change everything. Zasui. Was the vessel of your former enemy. The Dark Knight Sparda. The moment Sparda's name left her lips, the room fell into a deafening silence. Pexinox, who had been moments away from unleashing his wrath upon Zasui, suddenly stilled. The oppressive aura that had threatened to crush her vanished in an instant. Then, after a few agonizing seconds, a deep rumbling laugh filled the ruined palace. At first, it was low, a quiet chuckle. But soon, it rose into a dark guttural laughter, reverberating off the broken walls. Pexinox rose from his throne, his towering form casting a massive shadow over the hall. Pexinox. Well. His voice was laced with mocking amusement. Pexinox. I never thought I'd see the day when my oldest enemy would return to oppose me once more. A sinister smirk crept onto his lips. Pexinox. Sparda, you truly are full of surprises. The glow of his demonic eyes intensified, reflecting his unholy delight. He turned his gaze back to Zasui, whose legs threatened to buckle under his gaze. Pexinox. Very well. Change of plans. A twisted amusement played in his tone. Pexinox. Since our dear Leviathan slipped through our grasp, I will dispatch a squad of my elite executioners to reclaim her. And this time. His smirk deepened, his expression now one of pure malevolence. Pexinox. I will ensure that neither she, nor Sparda's new vessel, escape my grasp. He waved a dismissive hand. Pexinox. You are dismissed, Zasui. Zasui let out a shaky breath, barely believing she had survived. Without hesitation, she activated a magic circle, vanishing from the ruined hall in a flash of dark energy. Left alone in the eerie silence of his palace, Pexinox chuckled once more. Pexinox. A new era of bloodshed is upon us. And this time, Sparda. You will not stand in my way. A storm of demonic energy erupted around him, as though the very world trembled at his declaration. And thus, the hunt began. The entire scene suddenly transitioned into a glass with the last image of Pexinox and then, bang, 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 bang. The glass became shattered, transitioning into the word, Mission 0. End. Mission rank. S. 3 days later. Kobe, Japan. It had been 3 days since the power of Sparda awakened within Issei. Now, here is Ida in a rented safe house in Kobe, courtesy of Kenji Tsukishiro, the boss of the Blood Race. Inside, steam still clung to the air as Issei emerged from the bathroom, shirtless, a towel draped over his shoulders as he rubbed his damp hair dry. Elsewhere, in the supernatural world, the Devil faction were still investigating the massacre of their scouts in Kobe. The bodies had been retrieved, and autopsies revealed unsettling results. The bullets and blade wounds were unlike anything they had seen before, weapons imbued with something unnatural, something designed to kill devils efficiently. And yet, they had no suspects. Bloodwraith safe house. Issei's office. The door swung open. Kenji Tsukishiro stepped in, his usual smirk present as he locked eyes with Issei. Issei. Well. Kenji, tell me you've got it. Kenji didn't answer right away. Instead, he approached the desk, pulled out his custom pistol, and aimed it directly at Issei's forehead. Kenji. Do you know how much of a pain in the ass it was to get this info? These are classified secrets across multiple factions, Sekiryuutei Dono. Issei didn't flinch. Instead, he smirked. Issei. You gonna pull the trigger or are we just flirting at this point? Kenji chuckled and holstered his weapon. Kenji. TCH. Just my way of greeting people, you know that. Issei leaned back, arms crossed. Issei. So, let's hear it. The 5 relics, where are they? Kenji's demeanor shifted. This was serious. Kenji. Alright. Here's what I got. The 5 relics of the Dark Knight. They were scattered across multiple factions. He took a cigarette, lit it, and exhaled slowly. Kenji. First up, the sword force edge. It's locked up deep beneath Lucifer City in the underworld. The devils have been guarding it like it's a fucking crown jewel. Issei remained quiet, listening. Kenji. Second rebellion. The fallen angels have it, stored in a high-security vault in the underworld under the premises of the Grigori. Only a cadre class can access it. Issei smirked. Issei. Let me guess, Azazel. Kenji shook his head. Kenji. No. Any cadre class within the ranks of Grigori. Issei clicked his tongue in annoyance, but nodded for Kenji to continue. Kenji. Third Yamato. This one. Bad news. Issei frowned slightly. Kenji. The Vatican had it, but 18 years ago, someone tried using it. The sword snapped in half. Beyond repair. A heavy silence settled between them. Issei exhaled through his nose, rubbing his temples. Issei. What about the rest? Kenji tapped his cigarette, the ashes falling onto an empty tray. Kenji. The 2 amulets, one is with the Pendragon family, the other is with the Greek faction, specifically Hephaestus. Issei. And the 5th? Kenji narrowed his eyes. Kenji. No one knows. Issei smirked. Issei. I do. Kenji raised a brow. Kenji. Then that just leaves one last question, how the hell are you gonna pay me back for this? Issei leaned forward, placing his elbows on the desk. Issei. Devil hunting isn't exactly new to me. If you've got a problem in your territory, I'll clean it up. Kenji shook his head. Kenji. Nah, ever since you cleared out those bastards, Kobe's been secure. I need something else. He leaned in, his voice lowering, eyes gleaming with something darker. Kenji. I want the arm of a cadre. Specifically brachial. The room was silent. Then, Issei grinned. Issei. Now that's an interesting request. Kenji chuckled. Kenji. So? Deal? Issei stood up, grabbed his coat, and strapped Killer of Death to his back, along with Luz and Umbra to his holsters. As he walked toward the door, Kenji called out. Kenji. Sekiryuutei dono. Issei stopped. Kenji. What's your endgame? What do you even want to do with these relics once you have them? Issei was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he smirked. Issei. Something personal. Something that'll save humanity. He adjusted his collar and opened the door. Issei. Well. Gotta go. I have a debt to pay. With that, Issei left, beginning the next step of his journey, one that would bring him closer to his past, his future. And his destiny. Opening start. Scene fades in. A lone figure stands atop a jagged cliff in the underworld. The wind howls, carrying the scent of war. Issei Hyoudou stands at the edge, his coat billowing behind him. Below, an army of the supernatural stretches across the battlefield, devils, fallen angels, and gods from distant mythologies. A force united by a common enemy. Him. A smirk plays on his lips. Without hesitation he dives. Cut to high-speed descent, gunfire and steel flash. Mid-air, he draws Luz and Umbra, spinning as he rains down bullets. He lands with a shockwave, instantly cutting down a dozen foes with rebellion, his blade tearing through armor and flesh alike. With a single fluid motion, he lunges forward, stinger. A piercing thrust sends an entire legion flying. Suddenly 2 crimson spheres of power of destruction hurtle toward him. Issei flips, twisting mid-air. Before impact, his hand glows royal guard. He absorbs the energy, dispersing it with ease. The attackers reveal themselves. Surzich's Lucifer and Ria's Gremory stand alongside Team DXD, their eyes filled with fury. Close up, shot. Issei smirks. Without hesitation, he raises Luz and Umbra, the muzzles aimed at his former allies. Gunshot. Scene shifts, blade clash. The bullets transition into sparks, flying, a brutal sword duel. Issei versus Dai. Dai strains under the weight of Issei's blows, his sword trembling. Issei, however, is calm, mocking. He isn't fighting seriously. He's toying with him. Their swords collide. Cut to black. New, scene, mystery and intrigue. A beautiful blonde woman gazes at a massive containment tube glowing with holy magic. Inside, the shattered remains of Yamato. Scene shift, a single gunshot. A blonde man, face hidden in shadow, reloads his revolver, stepping over the corpses of stray devils. Scene shift, apocalyptic confrontation. On the battlefield, Pexinox looms, surrounded by his monstrous army. Facing them alone, Issei. He grins. Force edge in hand. Without warning, he charges. Final scene, the forbidden fruit. A silhouette. Issei stands before a mysterious fruit. He reaches out. He takes a bite. Dark crimson energy erupts, engulfing him. The screen distorts, a surge of unstoppable power. Title card appears. Sekiryuutei may cry. Opening end. The alley was quiet, save for the distant hum of the city beyond its narrow walls. Streetlights flickered overhead, casting long shadows against the damp pavement. Standing in the dimly lit passage, Issei Hyoudou extended his hand, forming a magic circle beneath his feet. Its crimson glow flickered uncertainly, the runes shifting as if incomplete. He focused, pouring his magic into it nothing. With a heavy sigh, he let his arm drop. Issei. TCH. If I had the Yamato, this would have been easy. Teleportation was second nature to him, but not like this. Traveling across dimensions required absolute precision. The slightest mistake, and he'd be stranded in some forsaken void. Worse still, his power was incomplete. Issei. Damn amulets. Most of my magic's locked inside them. No wonder this feels off. Suddenly a surge of heat. Without warning, Drake's devil arm flared to life, crimson and emerald flames twisting around Issei's forearm. The draconic gauntlet pulsed, its energy resonating through his veins. Drake, chuckling. Struggling, partner. Issei narrowed his eyes as the arm fully materialized. Issei. Drake, what the hell? I didn't summon you. The ancient dragon let out a deep rumbling laugh. Drake. That's because you're overcomplicating things. You're used to teleporting between places, not entire dimensions. But me? I've been around long enough to know a trick or two. Issei raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Issei. You're saying you can help? The flames around his devil arm intensified, casting crimson light along the alley walls. The air thickened with heat, the scent of dragon fire mingling with the night air. Drake. You've got the magic. You've got the power. You just need the right push. Focus, and let me handle the rest. Issei clenched his fist, feeling the energy surge through him. A new magic circle formed beneath him, larger, more refined, infused with draconic power. The runes, once unstable, now burned with unwavering clarity. With one last smirk, Issei stepped forward. The world around him blurred then vanished. In an instant, he was gone. Underworld. Lucifer City. A dim glow from the neon lights outside cast a flickering hue over the streets of the underworld. The air was thick with demonic energy, the buzzing of activity from devil civilians filling the streets. The bright red magic circle suddenly appeared in a deserted alleyway, its glow pulsing for a moment before Issei Hyoudou emerged from it. His boots clicked against the stone pavement, and he took a moment to survey his surroundings. The city wasn't unfamiliar, but he knew that the wrong eyes spotting him could complicate his mission. As he stepped forward, his gaze locked onto a surveillance camera mounted on the alley wall. For a second, he simply stared at it, his expression unreadable. Then, bang. A single gunshot echoed through the alley as Luce, his trusted firearm, smoked in his left hand. The camera snapped apart, sparks flying before it fizzled out completely. Twirling the gun for a moment, he holstered it smoothly, then spotted a discarded robe lying nearby. He grabbed it, throwing it over himself to conceal his signature look. The fewer people who recognized him, the better. Emerging from the alley, he blended into the crowd. The streets were lively, filled with devils going about their nightly routines. Issei kept his head low, scanning the area for a place to lay low and regroup. Then, something caught his eye. A small pizza restaurant stood at the corner, its bright neon sign flickering above the entrance. A smirk tugged at his lips. Issei. Pizza break will do just fine for me. Without hesitation, he crossed the road and stepped inside. The smell of melted cheese, fresh dough, and warm spices hit him immediately. It was oddly nostalgic. He made his way to the cashier, standing in line while scanning the menu. When it was finally his turn, the cashier, a young female devil, greeted him with a polite smile. Cashier, good evening, sir. May I take your order? Issei's gaze flickered to the menu behind her. Pepperoni. Cheese. Pineapple, not an option. Olives, definitely not an option. Bacon, tempting. But then, something caught his attention, a dessert section featuring a strawberry sundae. Issei. 1 box of pepperoni, 1 box of cheese. And for dessert, a strawberry sundae. The cashier nodded, punching in his order on the register. Cashier. Would you like a drink with that? Issei's smirk widened. Issei. Diet Coke. A small beep signaled the completion of the order, and soon the receipt printed out. Cashier. That'll be ready soon. Have a good night, sir. Grabbing the receipt, Issei moved to an empty table by the window, sitting down as he waited. His icy blue eyes caught his own reflection in the glass. The faint image of his demonic form stared back at him, its crimson energy swirling faintly around the edges. His expression hardened. Memories surfaced. The betrayals. The breakups. The insults. He scoffed. Issei. Heh. Women. Leaning back, Issei relished the rare moment of peace, knowing that soon enough, chaos would come knocking again. Then, his order arrived. The smell of freshly baked pizza wafted up as he opened the first box pepperoni. He grabbed a slice, the cheese stretching between his fingers as he took a large bite. The warmth of the dough, the savory tang of the pepperoni, and the gooey cheese melted in his mouth, making him let out a satisfied sigh. It was his first good meal in 3 days. Without realizing it, he devoured the entire box in minutes. Not done, he moved onto the cheese pizza, taking his time now, savoring the taste. Each bite reminded him of the normalcy he once had a time before everything went to hell. Once he finished both boxes, he moved on to dessert. The strawberry sundae sat before him, pink and sweet, a drizzle of strawberry syrup swirling over the creamy surface. He dipped his spoon in and took a slow, deliberate bite. Cold. Sweet. Refreshing. It was almost nostalgic. For the first time in a while, Issei allowed himself to simply enjoy something without thinking about the past or the future. But, as with all good things in his life, it didn't last. Just as he was about to finish the last spoonful, a beautiful waitress approached his table. She was young, curvy, and had the kind of figure that could make any man take a second look. Long dark hair, deep red lips, and sharp yet seductive golden eyes. Her uniform, a tight-fitting black dress with a short skirt, accentuated her assets. She smiled politely and handed him the bill. Waitress. Sir, your total comes to 44 Dai. Cash or card? Issei blinked. Right. He had no bank account in the underworld. No Dai currency on him. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out 6,540 yen and placed it on the table. Issei. You accept any currency, right? The waitress eyed the yen for a moment before nodding. Waitress, no problem sir. However, would you like to pay a Dai or yen for charity? It'll go towards building orphanages and roads. Issei's expression froze for a second. Slowly, he stood up from the table. Then, as he turned to leave, he felt another presence block his way. The waitress had stepped in front of him, crossing her arms. Her smile was gone. Waitress. Sir, please have a heart. It's just a single Dai. Issei narrowed his eyes at her. Issei. Paying taxes or donating a Dai isn't an option. Nor is it my specialty. The waitress's expression hardened. Waitress, tax evasion is a crime sir. Pay it now, think of the children in need. Issei's brow twitched in irritation. Issei. It's an obligation. The temperature in the room dropped. A faint aura of demonic energy seeped from his body, washing over the waitress like a cold wave. She flinched, her breath hitching as a primal fear crept into her bones. The other customers felt it too. Some shuddered, while others glanced around in confusion, unsure why the atmosphere suddenly felt heavy. Issei stepped forward, causing the waitress to instinctively back away. Stopping at the restaurant's entrance, he turned his head slightly, his golden eyes gleaming under the dim lighting. Issei. Let me be clear to you all, I will never pay. With that, he pushed open the door and walked out, a can of Diet Coke casually resting in his left hand. The door swung shut behind him. For a long moment, silence filled the restaurant. Some customers whispered to each other, still shaken. Others simply stared at the waitress, waiting for her reaction. She stood there, stunned, before muttering under her breath. Waitress. That bastard. Outside in the dimly lit streets of the underworld, Issei Hyoudou walked alone, hands tucked into his pockets as he searched for a tour guide map, something to help him navigate the unfamiliar territory. However, his plans took an unexpected detour when he found himself standing before a towering structure. The Serafol Memorial Hospital loomed in the distance, its Gothic architecture blending into the eternal twilight of the underworld. The grand hospital was a beacon of both healing and secrecy, holding whispers of the past and dark truths buried beneath its foundation. As Issei studied the entrance, something caught his eye. The procession of fallen angel soldiers, clad in their blackened armor and bearing the insignia of Grigori, marched out of the hospital with a grim purpose. Their movements were cold and methodical, their glowing golden eyes scanning the area as they escorted several corpses, the lifeless bodies of the Devil Scouts from Kobe. Issei quickly retreated into the shadows, his breath steady as he pressed his back against the cold stone wall of an alley. He peeked from behind the corner, his icy blue eyes narrowing in silent observation. Their formation was tight, professional, their discipline a testament to their long history of spying, assassinations, and warfare. One of the commanding soldiers turned to his subordinates. Fallen angel soldier. We need scouts during our travel to Grigori. Ensure no one follows us. At his order, a group of scouts took to the sky, their black feathered wings stretching as they ascended, scanning the area with trained precision. They were searching for potential threats, an extra layer of caution against unwanted eyes. Then, the rest of the fallen angel soldiers took flight, the weight of their mission evident in their rigid posture. They were heading straight toward Grigori's base of operations, deep within the underworld. Issei smirked slightly. Interesting. As soon as they left his line of sight, he threw aside his robe, revealing his battle-worn attire. He dashed from the alleyway, sprinting with near-inhuman agility before leaping onto the side of a tall building. A burst of purple energy ignited beneath his feet, forming a magic circle that launched him skyward. He landed effortlessly on the rooftop, his silhouette blending with the shadows cast by the dim streetlights. He inhaled deeply as he stretched out his arms, then his devil wings emerged, large and imposing, reminiscent of the very form he once used. The dark leathery appendages flared out from his back, their midnight hue contrasting against the dull glow of the underworld's artificial sky. The sensation was foreign yet familiar, as if his body had finally embraced what it once rejected. From within, the deep rumbling voice of Dreg echoed. Dreg. Didn't know you could use your devil wings so smoothly. Unlike before, you're not flailing around like an amateur. A chuckle escaped Issei's lips, laced with both amusement and pride. Issei. This is the price for being the Dark Knight itself, Dreg. My body's adapting. He adjusted his stance, his icy blue gaze locked onto his targets. With a single powerful flap, he ascended, his wings cutting through the wind as he soared above the city. The lights of the underworld blurred beneath him, streaks of neon reflecting off his cold, piercing gaze. He trailed behind the fallen angels at a calculated distance, his movements deliberate, slow enough to avoid detection, but precise enough to never lose sight of them. His hunt had begun. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Issei flying away from Chibi IRS agents due to tax evasion. Scene change. The fallen angel soldiers had finally arrived at their destination, the Grigori base of operations in the underworld. The facility was a fortress, an impenetrable structure with reinforced walls, towering watchtowers, and layers of security, meant to keep even the most persistent intruders at bay. Floodlights illuminated the sky, casting an eerie glow over the landscape as multiple patrols of fallen angels moved in coordinated shifts. Ascending from the sky, the soldiers landed gracefully at the entrance, still carrying the corpses of the Devil Scouts. Without hesitation, they entered the compound through the heavily secured main gates, their presence barely acknowledged by the guards, who recognized them instantly. A distance away, Issei Hyoudou watched it all unfold, crouched behind a jagged rock formation. His eyes scanned the facility with keen precision, memorizing guard routes, security placements, and possible entry points. He exhaled. This was it. Issei. If intel's right, this is where the rebellion is kept. Seems like I'm gonna have to rush the whole damn thing. With a smirk, he straightened himself up and took a step forward. Then, he leaped. His body sliced through the wind as he descended from the cliff, his form a blur against the eternal twilight of the underworld. As he neared the entrance, he concealed his devil wings. His coat fluttered behind him as he landed soundlessly, his boots pressing into the dirt. At the gates, 2 guards stood watch, their expressions indifferent until they spotted a lone figure approaching. The man wore a deep purple trench coat, his cold, calculating gaze fixed on them as he walked forward with a slow, deliberate pace. His posture radiated confidence, arrogance, even. The moment they laid eyes on him, a chill ran down their spines. Their instincts screamed danger. One of the fallen angels tightened his grip on his weapon before stepping forward. Fallen angel guard. Hey. Identify yourself. You are trespassing in a restricted territory of the Grigori. Stand down and put your hands above your head. But the stranger didn't stop. He continued walking, his stride unwavering, his presence suffocating. The shadows clung to him unnaturally, shifting at his movements as if responding to his will. The guards readied themselves, gripping their light spears with disciplined precision. But just as they prepared to attack, they heard a single word. Swordmaster. In an instant, a metallic flash tore through the air as Issei unsheathed Killer of Death from his back. His form blurred. Before the first fallen angel could react, Issei was already in front of him. His right arm became a blur, striking with impossible speed. The million stabs came so fast that it left behind afterimages, turning his assault into a phantasmal flurry of death. The first guard barely had time to scream. By the time the fallen angel realized what had happened, his body was already failing him. The overwhelming number of stab wounds left no room for survival. He was dead before he even hit the ground. The second guard's eyes widened in horror. Fallen angel guard 2. You bastard. With a furious battle cry, he lunged forward, thrusting his light spear toward Issei's back. But before the spear could connect, trickster. Issei vanished in an instant, his form flickering out of sight like a mirage. The guard's thrust met only air. A split second later, a sharp, searing pain tore through his back. His body jerked violently as Issei reappeared behind him, blade in hand. The fallen angel staggered forward, his breath shallow. His hands trembled as he reached toward his wound, only to see his own blood staining his armor. Then his body crumpled lifelessly to the ground. Issei exhaled, flicking the blood off his sword before sheathing it once more. He barely paid the corpses any attention as he stepped past them, placing a hand on the gate. With a smirk, he muttered. Issei. Let's get this over with. The blaring of alarms echoed throughout the Grigori base, signaling that an intruder had infiltrated their fortress. In response, 20 fallen angel soldiers took to the skies, their black wings spreading wide as they searched for the enemy. It didn't take them long. At the center of the open courtyard, Issei Hyoudou stood tall, Killer of Death resting casually on his right shoulder. The moonlight reflected off his purple trench coat, his crimson aura pulsing ominously. The moment they laid eyes on him, they knew exactly who he was. The Butcher of Kobe. The one who massacred the Devil Scouts. The supposed member of the Cow's Brigade. The fallen angel captain at the front scowled, gripping his light spear tightly as he pointed at Issei. Fallen angel captain. Surrender or meet the consequences, scum. Issei raised an eyebrow, his smirk widening. Issei. Shum. Or scum. Doesn't matter sounds like a new phrase for my list. He let out a low chuckle, clearly amused by the sight of 20 fallen angels circling above him. Slowly, he slung Killer of Death back onto his back and reached for Luz and Umbra, his twin pistols gleaming under the lights of the facility. Then, he aimed. Issei. Let's heat this party up. Gunslinger. A crackling wave of dark crimson magic engulfed Luz and Umbra, amplifying their destructive power. Without hesitation, Issei fired. The first fallen angel took a direct hit to the chest, his body jerking violently as demonic energy burned through him. He let out a blood-curdling scream, crashing onto the ground in a heap. Before he even hit the floor. Bang. A single precise bullet from Umbra struck his forehead, ending him instantly. The remaining soldiers wasted no time. With an enraged cry, they hurled their light spears toward him in a synchronized barrage. But, Royal Guard. Issei parried them all. The moment the spears made contact with his aura, he absorbed the energy effortlessly, as if their attacks were nothing more than mere flickers of candlelight. 4 fallen angels landed on the ground, trying a different approach. They lunged forward, attempting to stab him in unison. But Issei saw it coming. He smirked. As they closed in. He jumped. Flipping midair, he spun upside down, aiming Luz and Umbra downward. Rainstorm. A deafening barrage of bullets rained down upon the 4 attackers, shredding them apart. Their wings were torn to ribbons, their bodies collapsing onto the cold pavement. Feathers drifted in the air, stained with their own blood. Issei landed gracefully, only to see another fallen angel charging at him. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of shooting, Issei casually flicked a red rose toward him. The soldier instinctively caught it, staring at it in confusion. Gunslinger. Hyoudou materialized in Issei's right hand. Before the fallen angel could react. Bang. The double-barrel shotgun exploded point-blank into his face, blowing his head clean off. The rest of the fallen angels flinched, watching their comrade's lifeless body slump to the ground. Their leader's face twisted in rage. Fallen angel captain. What are you idiots standing around for? Kill that scum. The remaining 14 soldiers dived down, weapons ready, determined to overwhelm him. Issei chuckled. Issei. Allow me to introduce a friend of mine. Hyoudou vanished as he reached for something new. Colt Blackstone, his assault rifle. He unleashed a precise storm of bullets, tearing through the wings of 13 of them, causing them to spiral downward in agony. Their bodies crashed into the ground, unable to regain flight. Then, Drake's devil arm materialized in his left hand. With a dark grin, Issei pulled the trigger. A torrent of emerald flames erupted, washing over the fallen soldiers. Their screams of agony filled the air as they were engulfed in dragon fire, incinerated beyond recognition. Only one remained. The captain. His hands trembled. Sweat beaded down his face. His wings flared in hesitation, his pride battling against his fear. Fallen angel captain. Stay back. Stay back, you scum. Issei's smirk faded. He slowly advanced, his steps deliberate, predatory. Issei. Tell me, were you once an angel? A loyal servant of God? The captain's breathing hitched. Issei. If so, that means you must have committed a sin so great that you fell. It means you've done something far worse than I ever have. He looks up, his voice now a low whisper. Issei. So tell me then. Which one of us is the real scum? The captain's pupils shrank. His entire body froze in terror. He tried to move. Tried to fly away. But, bang. A single shot from Blackstone tore through his left wing. Bang. Another round shattered his right wing. The captain screamed in agony, his body plummeting to the ground. He crashed hard, rolling across the dirt before coming to a limp stop. He tried to crawl, but his body refused to move. Issei loomed over him. Issei. Pathetic. The captain gasped, his eyes wild with desperation. Fallen angel captain. Please. Don't. Bang. A final shot rang out. The captain's body jerked. Then, he stilled. Issei lowered Blackstone, his eyes cold, indifferent. Then, with a sigh. Issei. What a waste of time. With that, he continued forward, stepping over the lifeless body of the fallen, making his way deeper into the Grigori base. As soon as he entered, he was greeted by an army of fallen angels waiting for his arrival. Issei dashed forward, pulling out Killer of Death as he began cutting through his enemies one by one. A fallen angel attempted to slash at him. Swordmaster. Issei charged his sword with dark crimson demonic power, releasing a thin, precise energy slash that sent his enemies flying with sheer force. Without hesitation, he materialized Drake, his gauntlets glowing with draconic energy, and dashed into the fray. He struck a fallen angel with 2 devastating punches before following up with a powerful kick, sending his opponent skyward. Without missing a beat, he leaped after them, spinning mid-air before landing directly on their chest, the sheer force cratering the ground beneath them. Dismal. Drake's voice echoed as Issei switched back to Killer of Death, seamlessly transitioning into a rapid combo of precise sword strikes, each movement cutting through the enemy ranks like a storm of blades. Another fallen angel attempted a sneak attack from the side, but Issei effortlessly parried the incoming blow before jumping into the air. He brought his sword down in a crushing helmbreaker, cleaving the fallen angel in half vertically, before smoothly spinning around and cutting down another enemy approaching from behind. Crazy. Issei then threw Killer of Death into a crowd of fallen angels, the sword spinning horizontally like a saw blade, slicing through multiple enemies in a devastating round-trip attack. As his weapon carved through them, he materialized Hyoudou, taking precise shots at the already wounded enemies. Each shot shattered light spears, pierced through armor, and obliterated his foes with brutal efficiency, all while the spinning Killer of Death continued to wreak havoc. Badass. The sword finally returned to his hand, but before he could continue, a brave female fallen angel rushed toward him. She had an athletic yet curvaceous body, one that most men would undoubtedly find distracting, but Issei. He didn't give a damn. Her expression was fierce, determined, her confidence unshaken as she summoned 2 light spears, spinning them rapidly in each hand to form a semi-defensive barrier. Female fallen angel. Go to hell. She leaped high into the air, hurling her spears at Issei with deadly precision. Issei smirked, shifting into a boxing stance, raising his fists covered in Drake's draconic gauntlets. Walter move. As the light spears approached, he weaved through them effortlessly, dodging with fluidity and grace, each attack missing him by mere inches. Her frustration boiled over as she summoned another light spear, this time charging forward in close quarters combat. But just as she closed the distance. Wham! She was met with a devastating gauntlet-clad fist straight to the gut. The impact knocked the wind out of her instantly, her eyes widening in shock as she coughed up a mouthful of blood. Issei wasn't done. With his opponent stunned, he executed a move he called Bantam Revenge, a merciless sequence of precise blows, evasions, and counterattacks. The first hit. A brutal right hook to the ribs, making her stagger. She tried to retaliate, but Issei effortlessly sidestepped, dodging her wild swing and retaliating with a spinning backhand to her temple, sending her reeling. The second hit. A crushing uppercut, launching her into the air. Before she could even process the pain, Issei vanished only to appear above her in an instant, his fist glowing with demonic and draconic energy. The final hit. A downward smash, sending her crashing into the ground below, the sheer impact shattering the stone beneath her as dust and debris erupted around them. She barely had any time to process what had happened before her vision faded to black. He then soon finishes her off with a blow in the face, knocking her out. Drake would then announce. Apocalyptic. Issei dismisses Drake and makes his way down to retrieve his sword. He soon spots a door leading to a hall and sprints inside without hesitation. As he enters, he sees countless blades hanging on the walls. Issei. What the hell is this? These blades were proof of Azazel's attempts at recreating a weapon similar to Rebellion or harnessing its demonic power. His eyes then land on a document sheet sitting on a nearby desk. He picks it up and quickly skims through it. Issei. TCH. So this old bastard was trying to make a devil sword using Rebellion's power and fallen angel light. Bold move. He tucks the document into his coat. Issei. Might be worth something to the blood wraiths. Could make for a nice trade. He moves deeper into the facility only to be met by 2 fallen angels standing in his path. But these weren't just any fallen angels. They were Grigori's elite soldiers. Fallen Angel Elite. It's him. The Butcher of Kobe. Fallen Angel Elite 2. Let's finish this bastard. The 2 take flight and rush at him without hesitation. Issei quickly evades their attacks, flipping back. He then pulls out Luce and Umbra and fires at them. Gunslinger. But unlike the weaklings before, these 2 were different. They summon light spears, spinning them rapidly in their hands to form a semi-defensive barrier, deflecting the bullets with precision. Then, they flap their black wings, unleashing a sharp barrage of deadly black feathers. Issei. Oh. That's new. He quickly starts shooting down each feather, one by one, using Luce and Umbra with perfect accuracy. But before he can react, one of the elites hurls a light spear at his feet. Boom. The explosion sends Issei flying, crashing through a wall and into the next room. Dust and debris fill the air. Fallen Angel Elite. Ha. That got him. Fallen Angel Elite 2. Let's end this. They summon another explosive light spear, preparing to throw it. But then. A dark crimson glow erupts from the darkness. A second light, this time green, follows. It belonged to Issei's devil arm, Drag, as it began boosting power into itself. Boost. Transfer. The energy from the gauntlet surges into Killer of Death, causing the blade to pulse with power. Issei grins. Issei. You guys sure talk a lot for dead men. He raises his sword. Issei. Drive. With a mighty swing, he unleashes a horizontal demonic slash, the wave of energy ripping through the air and colliding with the elites. Boom. The attack sends them flying, their bodies slamming into the walls, leaving them badly injured from the sheer force of the demonic energy. As soon as the elites hit the ground, Issei dashes forward, closing the distance before they can recover. His devil arm, Drag, crackles with dark crimson energy as his greaves ignite. He launches himself upward, slamming his foot under the first elite's chin, sending him flying. Before the fallen angel can even react. Boom. Issei rockets above him and delivers a brutal downward axe kick, sending the elite crashing back to the ground, a crater forming beneath him. The fallen angel gurgles in pain, barely able to move. Issei. TCH, that's all. He lands right beside the downed elite, grabs him by the throat, and lifts him into the air effortlessly. The fallen angel chokes and claws at Issei's arm, struggling, but it's useless. Then without hesitation. SHNK. Issei jams Drag's gauntlet claws into the elite's chest, piercing deep. His victim's body shudders violently, his screams turning into choked gurgles. Issei. Let's make this quick. With one savage motion, he rips his hand back, tearing out the fallen angel's spine along with his skull, the flesh peeling away like wet paper. The elite's headless corpse convulses, then collapses, a gushing river of blood pooling onto the ground. Drag, now completely soaked in blood, lets out a chuckle of satisfaction. Savage. Issei. I know, right. Let's get this shit over with. The second elite, now drenched in his comrade's blood, stares in sheer horror, his body shaking uncontrollably. Fallen Angel Elite 2. You butcher fucker. Blinded by rage and fear, he charges at Issei, summoning another light spear, aiming straight for his heart. But Issei is already done. Before the fallen angel can even blink. SHNK. Issei drives Killer of Death straight into his chest, right through his heart. The elite gasps, his face frozen in pure terror. His hands tremble, reaching for the blade impaling him, but it's useless. Killer of Death's cursed energy surges, consuming his very essence, his body shriveling and decaying as the life is violently ripped from him. Fallen Angel Elite 2. I don't want to die. His words fade into silence, his body going limp before collapsing lifelessly onto the cold floor. Issei. HMPH. Waste of time. He pulls the sword free, shaking off the excess blood before resting it on his shoulder. Issei. Honestly, all these guys are just a damn nuisance. Without another glance, he turns away, making his way deeper into the facility. He soon finds himself at a large steel door, the entrance to an elevator. The moment he steps in, the control panel flickers, showing the next floor's designation. Prison Containment Chamber. Issei. Well, they better have some soap down there. He smirks as he presses the button, the elevator doors sliding shut. With a low hum, the elevator descends, taking Issei deeper into Grigori's hidden hellhole. As he stands in the dimly lit chamber, a familiar presence brushes against his senses, a thunderous demonic energy, one he hadn't felt in a long time. Issei. Deja vu, huh? The elevator doors slide open with a metallic hiss. He steps out, greeted by a long, empty corridor, the only defining feature being a single prison cell at the far end. A powerful demonic aura leaks from within the cell, familiar, yet distant. He stops for a moment, eyes narrowing. Issei. TCH. Not my problem. With a shrug, he turns left, heading deeper into the facility, focused solely on retrieving rebellion. Meanwhile, in the security room. A tall, gruff-looking man watches Issei's movements through the grainy security monitors. His rugged, heavily lined face is shadowed by a short graying beard, and his muscular frame is clad in form-fitting armor, its shoulder guards bearing a military design. The large flowing robe drapes over his shoulders, signifying both his rank and battle-hardened presence. This is Kuoh Academy class Fallen Angel, a warrior of legend with 10 imposing black wings. His piercing gaze remains locked onto the purple-coated intruder now storming through the containment chamber. Vergil. Initiate facility lockdown. No exits. No escape. With or without the rebellion. Fallen Angel operator. Understood, sir. The operator's fingers dance across the control panel, triggering emergency lockdown protocols. Across the facility, heavy blast doors slam shut, sealing off all potential exits. Vergil steps away from the monitors, a magic circle forming beneath his feet as he vanishes in a flash of lightning, heading straight for Issei. Back with Issei. He sprints through the steel corridors, loose and ombre spinning in his hands, ready for whatever comes next. Suddenly. SHNK. Light spears rain down from above. A squad of fallen angels ambushes him, dropping from the shadows with their weapons drawn. Fallen angel soldier. We've got you now, butcher. Issei grins, flicking the barrels of his pistols. Issei. Heh. You guys must love dying. Bang. Bang. The massacre begins. The moment the lockdown alarm blared, metal doors slammed shut across the hallways, trapping Issei inside the prison containment chamber. Issei. Oh, come on, do you really want to see the biblical god? Before he could even grumble further, a squad of fallen angels emerged from the darkened corridors, their black wings unfurling as they hovered above. One of them, a lieutenant, pointed at him. Fallen angel lieutenant. It's the butcher. Don't let him reach the rebellion. Issei just smirks, spinning loose and ombre in each hand, the barrels clicking into place. Issei. Oh, you dumbasses should have just stayed home. Without hesitation, the fallen angels launched their attack. Gunslinger. Issei immediately leaps backward, flipping through the air as he unloads a barrage of bullets. The custom-made shells roared through the air, slamming into the first enemy's chest. Boom. 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 The sheer impact sent the fallen angel spiraling backward, blood spurting from his wounds before he slammed against the wall dead. Dismal. Another enemy swooped down, conjuring a light spear and hurling it straight for him. Issei. Too slow. He twists midair, narrowly dodging the glowing spear as he lands in a crouch. The moment his boots touch the ground, he fires both pistols sideways, catching two more fallen angels in the chest, and head one explodes in a shower of blood, the other's brains splattering onto the wall. Crazy. The last two fallen angels charge forward, weapons glowing as they swing at him from opposite directions. Issei. TCH. Predictable. He ducks under the first swing, then twists his body sideways, narrowly evading the second. Without missing a beat, he throws loose into the air, grabs Ombre with both hands, and bang 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 bang. He spins himself like a revolver, firing rapid shots at both enemies' legs, shattering their kneecaps. The moment they collapse, screaming in pain, he catches loose mid-air and executes them both with point-blank headshots. Badass. Issei blows the smoke off his gun, spinning them back into his holsters. Issei. You know, I should start charging for these body bags. The hallway was now painted red, bodies sprawled across the ground, their black wings twitching lifelessly. But then. Crack. Boom. A thunderous explosion of lightning shook the entire floor. Issei's eyes narrowed as he turned toward the source. A tall, muscular figure emerged, his 10 black wings stretching wide. Sparks of divine lightning crackled around him as he descended from the upper level, his piercing gaze locked onto Issei. Brachial. That's enough. Issei grins, cracking his neck. Issei. Ha. Took you long enough. Brachial. I don't know who you are, you butcher in Kobe. But stand down if you don't want to make things worse. He raises his hand, crackling holy lightning forming between his fingers, the air buzzing with raw divine power. Issei just yawns, his eyes half-lidded with boredom. Issei. Man, this is disappointing. You really don't recognize me, old man. Brachial's eyes narrow. There's something off about this intruder, but he can't place it. Brachial. Who the hell are you? Issei just smirks, taking a slow step forward. Issei. Still don't recognize me? Maybe this will jog your memory. With a flick of his wrist, he summons Drag, his former sacred gear, now reborn as his devil arm. The crimson glow of the gauntlet ignites, filling the room with an overwhelming draconic pressure. The moment Brachial sees it, his expression twists in shock. The Red Dragon Emperor's gauntlet, a weapon thought lost forever. Brachial. Impossible. You're Issei Hyoudou. But how? Everyone knows you perished at the hands of Nyx in Greece. Issei lets out a bitter chuckle, shaking his head. Issei. Man. Y'all really bought that story, huh? Guess I shouldn't be surprised. The big dogs in the Alliance love sweeping shit under the rug. He spins Killer of Death in his grip before stabbing it into the ground, leaning casually against it. Issei. But hey, if you're too busy licking Dai's boots or playing house with your little Akeno, I get it. The truth's not your problem, right? Brachial's grip tightens, his fury rising. Brachial. Watch your tongue. The rebellion will never fall into the hands of a vile, attention-seeking bastard like you. Without hesitation, he unleashes twin bolts of holy lightning, their golden arc screaming toward Issei. Zap. Issei sidesteps, barely dodging the attack as he yanks Killer of Death from the ground. Issei. You bore me, old man. Brachial's fury erupts with a sharp motion, he sends a spear of holy lightning slicing through the air, this time with real killing intent. Crack. Issei swings Killer of Death to block, but the moment the holy energy collides with the blade. Snap. The sword shatters in half, sparks flying as the broken tip clatters onto the cold steel floor. Issei stares at the remains, his eyes narrowing slightly. He already knew Killer of Death was powerful, it could easily take down an ultimate class being. but a cadre class like vergil. That was an entirely different level. Issei clicks his tongue. Issei. TCH. I overestimated my chances of going blade to blade with you. This thing was good for wiping out ultimate class weaklings. But against someone like you? He tosses the broken sword aside, rolling his shoulders as Drake's gauntlet and greaves begin to glow. Issei. Looks like I'll have to settle this with my fists. He cracks his knuckles, then his neck, his stance lowering. Issei. But I'm not going down without a fight. The battle begins. As the air hums with divine fury, vergil's 10 black wings spread wide, his body crackling with golden arcs of holy lightning. His glare is sharp, filled with battle-hardened rage. Vergil. You're nothing but a stain on the supernatural world, Hyoudou. I'll erase you myself. Issei just rolls his shoulders, his devil-armed Drake pulsating with power, and his twin guns loose and ombre twirling in his grip. Issei. Damn, old man. You talk like I pissed in your cereal. Let's get to the good part already. Vergil lunges forward, a massive spear of holy lightning forming in his grip. Phase 1. Opening clash. Speed versus power. Trickster. Issei vanishes. 1 second he's there, the next he's a blur, dashing past vergil's attack with a slick air step, twisting behind him. Issei. Too slow. Vergil snarls, twisting around mid-air and unleashing a wide-range thunder explosion. Boom. Issei dodges mid-air, flipping upside down, and fires loose and ombre in rapid succession. The bullets ricochet off vergil's armor but force him to keep his guard up. Gunslinger. Issei. Let's see if you can keep up. He flips forward, twisting his body, and fires rapid as if it was a machine gun as he uses loose to shoot at vergil. The gun fires rapidly, unleashing a barrage of spectral bullets mid-flight. Vergil deflects the attack, slapping the gun aside with a holy lightning-clad palm, but Issei has already rushed in, catching the gun and sliding beneath him. Royal Guard. Vergil throws a devastating downward punch, his fist wrapped in crackling holy energy. Block. Issei cross-guards with Drake's gauntlets, absorbing the impact with a perfect Royal Guard parry. The force of the strike shatters the floor beneath him, but Issei barely slides back, skidding across the steel ground. Drake. Nice one, partner. But let's turn up the heat. Issei grins. Yeah. Let's dance. Phase 2. The dance of blades and bullets. Vergil flaps his wings, dashing forward with blinding speed, his arms extended as twin lances of holy lightning manifest in his grip. Zap. He throws one that tears through the air like a railgun shot. Issei sidesteps, flipping sideways mid-dash, and flicks ombre firing a charged devil bullet that collides with a spear, causing an explosion of dark and holy energy. Vergil is already on him, swinging his second lance in a deadly horizontal arc. Gunslinger. Issei summons Hyoudou, his sawed-off devil shotgun, and spins it like a blade, using its barrel to parry the strike in a blazing clash of steel and energy. Issei. Not bad, old man. He then presses the trigger point blank. Boom. Vergil is blown backward, but before he can recover, Issei air steps above him. Trickster style. Sky Star. With a blazing aerial dash, Issei flips mid-air and drop kicks Vergil downward, sending him crashing into the ground below. Phase 3. The Apex Clash. Vergil rises, his body now glowing as he coats himself with holy lightning. His black wings pulse with divine fury, and his entire body is wreathed in golden lightning. The sheer force of his power warps the gravity around them. Vergil. You mock me, you filth. I will smite you where you stand. The entire prison chamber shakes as massive lightning pillars descend from the ceiling, crashing down in a storm of divine destruction. Royal Guard. Issei crosses his gauntlets, absorbing the impact of the first strike, then sidesteps the second, his movements razor sharp. Boost. The gauntlets glow intensely, gathering energy. Transfer. A stored power flows into Hyoudou, turning the shotgun into a glowing beast of destruction. Issei. Game over, old man. He teleports forward, pressing the shotgun right under Vergil's chin. Vergil's eyes widen in shock. Judgment blast. Boom. The explosion of demonic energy and shotgun pellets tears through Vergil's armor, sending him flying through the steel walls, his body crashing into the lower depths of the facility. Issei spins Hyoudou, blowing the smoke off the barrel. Issei. Damn, thought you'd last longer. Vergil lay on the cold steel floor, his body battered, his once pristine armor now cracked and scorched from the brutal fight. His breaths were ragged, his holy lightning flickering weakly as he struggled to move. Issei walked toward him with slow, deliberate steps, his crimson coat torn at the edges, but his posture remained relaxed like a predator that had already won. Issei. Tough son of a bitch, I'll give you that. Vergil gritted his teeth, trying to push himself up, but Issei was already next to him, his foot pressing down on Vergil's back, pinning him against the floor. Vergil. Damn. You. Issei let out a low chuckle, crouching down by the fallen cadre's left wing before grabbing hold of it not gently. Issei. You know, old man, this was fun and all, but I didn't come here just to kick your ass. You're gonna help me open that vault. Barakiel's eyes widened in realization. Barakiel. You bastard. Issei. Oh, don't give me that self-righteous crap. You Grigori guys made the vault specifically, so only a cadre class schmuck like you could open it. Pretty smart, actually. Issei yanked his wing sharply, dragging the cadre across the steel floor like a broken ragdoll. Barakiel let out a pained grunt, his body still too weak to resist after their fight. The two reached a massive reinforced vault door, adorned with angelic runes and glowing holy sigils. The walls hummed with energy, repelling any lesser being from even touching it. Issei stopped and tossed Barakiel forward, making the fallen angel slam against the vault's control panel. Barakiel coughed, blood staining the floor beneath him. Barakiel. You really think I'll help you? Issei just smirked, cracking his knuckles. Issei. Oh, I know you will. He grabbed Barakiel by the collar and lifted him up slightly, just enough to make eye contact. Issei. I've seen the way you look at me, old man. The way the faction talks about me. You all think I'm a joke, a nobody, an attention seeker as you called me. His grip tightened, his expression darkening. Issei. But look at you now. Look at how easy it was to put you in the dirt. You and the whole damn Grigori spent years treating me like some worthless trash. But now, you're just another stepping stone. Barakiel's fists clenched, his pride boiling with rage, but he was too weak to act. Barakiel. Damn. You. Issei. TSK, TSK, TSK. You're not in a position to be saying that, old man. He then pulled back his gauntlet, which was wrapped in Drake's glowing energy. The energy surged into Issei's arm, his gauntlet crackling with crimson power. Issei. Now. Unless you want to go to sleep permanently, I suggest you be a good little cadre and open the damn vault. Barakiel snarled, but he knew he had no choice. With trembling hands, he reached forward and pressed his palm against the vault's glowing sigil. The vault rumbled as the holy locks disengaged, the runes fading one by one. The massive doors groaned, slowly sliding open, revealing the treasure hidden inside. A single magic containment field case stood at the center of the chamber. Its exterior was lined with intricate demonic engravings, and the air around it was thick with a raw, violent presence. It holds the dormant state of the rebellion. Issei's eyes glowed faintly, a smirk tugging at the corners of his lips. Issei. Well, well, well. There you are. Issei stepped into the chamber and dismisses Drake, his boots echoing against the steel floor as he approached the sealed weapon. The closer he got, the more he could feel its presence, a slumbering giant waiting to awaken. Issei's gaze settled on the dormant demonic sword, its presence calling out to him. It stood within its containment field, sealed away just like the Yamato, yet this weapon was different. Unlike all the swords he saw in the armory, this belonged to him. One of the 5 relics of Sparda. A smirk played across his lips. Issei, hello mama. With slow, deliberate steps, he approached the rebellion, its wicked blade resting in confinement, waiting. The moment his fingers neared the containment field, rebellion reacted. Shing. The sword launched itself forward in a violent burst, piercing straight through his chest right into his heart. Blood erupted from Issei's lips as he staggered back, falling to his knees. The pain was excruciating, searing through his entire body. Across the chamber, the battered and bloodied Barakiel grinned at the sight, his breath ragged yet triumphant. To him, this was proof. Rebellion had rejected the fraud that the entire faction alliance had come to despise. Barakiel. It seems your own arrogance has led you straight to death. Akeno and Dai were right about you, you're just a pathetic attention-seeking lunatic. But then. A deep ominous rumbling filled the air. The sealed power within the rebellion stirred. Its once dormant crossguard shifted, the skull emblem embedded in its hilt splitting open, revealing a glowing, sinister core. Dark crimson energy pulsed from within as the sword reacted to the blood coursing through Issei's veins, the blood of Sparda. A bloodline that could not be denied. Barakiel's victorious grin twisted into an expression of pure horror. He froze, his entire body trembling. The rebellion wasn't rejecting Issei. It was awakening. Issei let out a sharp breath, his pained grimace shifting into a lopsided grin. With a slow, deliberate motion, he reached up, gripping the hilt of the sword still embedded in his chest. Blood still dripped from his lips as he chuckled. Issei. Easy there. Daddy's home. I know you missed me. Barakiel's fists clenched, rage and confusion clouding his mind. Barakiel. How are you still alive? That sword should have killed you. You should be dead. Issei merely exhaled through his nose, then without hesitation ripped the blade from his chest. SHHK. The wound knitted itself together almost instantly as his regeneration kicked in, the dark magic within him restoring his flesh like nothing had happened. He rolled his shoulders, testing the weight of the rebellion in his grasp, before letting out a low chuckle. Issei. I know, right? Crazy. But I get it, Akeno and Dai must have filled your head with lies, same as always. Same story, different people. His gaze flicked up, sharp and full of mocking amusement. Issei. You crows are all the same. Always listening to the wrong people, always setting yourselves up for failure. Then, his voice dipped into something colder. Issei. Just like you did. With your wife. The room seemed to drop in temperature, an oppressive silence following his words. Barakiel's entire body tensed, his breath hitching. His fury ignited instantly. But Issei just grinned. With a single effortless motion, Issei swung the awakened rebellion upward, launching the lifeless corpse of a fallen angel into the air. Then, with precise brutality, he twisted his wrist and whipped the sword downward, its edge carving through the air in a shredding whirlwind. The body was torn apart midair, sliced into ribbons as the demonic blade sang through flesh and bone. Blood rained down, painting the ground in a grotesque display of carnage. Issei exhaled, rolling his shoulders as he turned to the wounded and fuming Barakiel. Issei. Tell me, Barakiel. Do you really think your little thunder tricks mean anything? He scoffed, resting rebellion on his shoulder, the massive blade thrumming with power. Issei. I've fought a devil 10 times stronger than you. And guess what? His grin sharpened. Issei. Even he wasn't shit. A booming laugh that belonged to Drake erupted in his mind. Savage. The mocking roar of the Red Dragon Emperor only fueled Barakiel's rage. His fist clenched, teeth grinding together as humiliation and fury burned in his veins. Barakiel. Why you? Crack. Lightning exploded from his palm as he hurled a bolt of raw electricity straight at Issei. But, before it could even reach him, Issei spun on his heel, twisting his body as rebellion whirled through the air in a full circle arc. Shing. The sword curved through space like a deadly saw blade, severing Barakiel's right arm in an instant. Barakiel. Ayerg. Barakiel's scream echoed through the chamber as his severed limb fell to the ground with a sickening thud, sparks of residual lightning crackling from the exposed wound. The rebellion completed its deadly arc, boomeranging back into Issei's grasp. With a casual flick of his wrist, he rested the sword against his back, as if none of this even mattered. He clicked his tongue. Issei. You know. You're nothing but an arrogant feather face. Can't even be a proper father. Barakiel's pained glare snapped toward him, eyes burning with rage. But Issei wasn't done. Issei. I mean, let's be real. Shuri died. And now you let your daughter get brainwashed by a lying piece of shit. Some father you are. Barakiel's breath hitched. His entire body trembled. Smokin' sexy style. Brake's voice rang out, full of mocking delight, echoing through Issei's mind like a victory bell. Issei turned away, strolling toward the shimmering pond within the ruined chamber. He gazed down at his own reflection, his expression unreadable. The demonic power of rebellion pulsed through his veins. It was calling to him. Issei. Thinking what I'm thinking, Drake. A low, amused chuckle resonated within him. Drake. I'm in your head, partner. Issei smirked. He took a deep breath then let go. A brilliant red glyph ignited beneath his feet, demonic energy surging violently as rebellion's power merged into his very essence. This wasn't balance breaker. This wasn't juggernaut drive. This was something else entirely. Issei's devil form has a striking, draconic, and demonic appearance, exuding a powerful and intimidating presence. His body is covered in dark, jagged armor-like plating with a molten, glowing core visible at his chest and veins of fiery energy running throughout his body. His head features sharp angular horns and a face with a menacing beast-like structure, further emphasizing his inhuman nature. His arms and legs are encased in sharp organic armor, with clawed hands that radiate with the same glowing energy. The long, tattered coat-like structure extends from his shoulders, giving him an almost regal yet fearsome look. As Issei gazed into the shimmering pond, his reflection twisted and distorted. He expected to see his original demon form, the one burned into his memory. But instead, the reflection that stared back at him was something else entirely. His body had transformed, engulfed in a hellish aura, his form now a perfect manifestation of the rebellion's devil trigger. His once human skin had darkened to an ashen, obsidian hue, intricate demonic etchings glowing with fiery red energy traced along his arms and chest. His eyes, once vibrant, were now piercing, slitted, gleaming like molten lava. Behind him, sharp jagged protrusions jutted from his back, resembling the twisted, half-formed wings of a battle-worn devil. Rebellion, now completely awakened, hummed in resonance, its power sensing with its wielder. Issei. Huh. Not bad. His voice rumbled, distorted, a deep, inhuman growl laced with raw demonic energy. He tilted his head, flexing his clawed fingers as the power coursed through his veins. Issei. Gotta say, I was expecting my usual look. But this is a whole new level. His lips curled into a smirk. Issei. Maybe the devil may cry if they see this. A dark chuckle escaped his throat, reverberating in the silent ruins. Vergil, still clutching the bleeding stump where his right arm had been, could only stare in horror. He had long since lost his rage. No, what he felt now was pure, unfiltered dread. Issei hadn't just been accepted as rebellion's wielder. He had been transformed by it. The sword's demonic essence, a fraction of Sparda's immense power, had fused with him, granting him a form that was beyond human, beyond devil, beyond comprehension. This was the rebellion's true gift. And for the first time, Vergil realized they had underestimated him. Badly. Issei deactivated his devil trigger, the red glow fading from his body as he returned to his base form. His breathing was steady, showing no signs of exhaustion from the battle he had just endured. He looked down at the severed arm of Vergil, still twitching slightly with residual holy lightning. With a flick of his fingers, he used his magic to dismiss it, making it vanish into the ether. Issei. No hard feelings, old man. With rebellion now strapped to his back, he made his way out of the vault chamber, leaving Vergil behind, unconscious and broken. As he retraced his steps, Issei soon found himself back at the prison containment chamber, the very place he had sensed that familiar demonic presence earlier. He stopped in his tracks, his curiosity getting the better of him. Issei. TCH, this again. Alright, fine. Let's see what we got here. He approached the solitary reinforced cell at the end of the corridor. Unlike the others, this one was bathed in an eerie purple glow, its walls covered in pulsing electrical veins of dark energy. The magic seals on the door were still active, their runes pulsing faintly, keeping whatever was inside completely restrained. Issei tilted his head, rubbing his chin. Issei. They really went all out, locking up whoever's in here. Without hesitation, he unsheathed Rebellion and with a single powerful slash, cut through the control panel, causing a violent discharge of energy as the magic seals shattered. Sparks flew, and the heavy steel door creaked open slowly, revealing the darkness within. The moment the seals broke, the entire room shifted. Purple lightning crackled from within, illuminating the cell's interior. But what truly caught his attention was the swarm of bats, hundreds of them, their shadowy forms twisting and swirling throughout the chamber, filling the air with an eerie presence. Then, a voice distorted, yet undeniably feminine, rang out from the darkness. Who dares to visit my domain? The voice carried a playful yet dangerous edge, sending a brief chill down Issei's spine. But then, as the bats began to gather, converging into a singular form, his smirk widened. Issei. Heh. No way. It's you. The swarm condensed, taking shape before his eyes. A woman stood there, her presence striking and otherworldly. Her long flowing crimson hair cascaded down her back, a stark contrast to her pale ghostly white skin. Her eyes, deep crimson, glowing faintly, held a dangerous allure, their gaze both playful and predatory. Her expression was one of amusement, a sly smirk tugging at her lips as her fingers idly rested near her mouth. The darkness around her seemed to bend to her will, her form seamlessly blending into shadowy, bat-like tendrils that flickered in and out of existence. The deep purple glow of the chamber, combined with the silhouettes of countless bats, gave her an almost gothic, vampiric aesthetic. Issei took a step closer, his smirk unwavering. Issei. Well, guess today's my lucky day. Issei. Niven. It's been many millennia since the last time we met. The now identified Niven narrowed her glowing crimson eyes, a hint of confusion flashing across her face. Had she met this devil before? His presence was familiar, yet his appearance was entirely different. Niven. Who are you to greet me in such a manner, you lowly devil? Issei blinked before chuckling, shaking his head in amusement. Issei. Damn, that hurts, Niven. But I let it slide. Still smirking, he lifted Rebellion from his back and let a small fraction of his demonic aura seep into the air. The moment it spread, the air grew heavy, filled with an ancient power, a presence Niven had not felt in ages. Her eyes widened, a shiver running down her spine. This was no mere devil. This was the magic of the Dark Night. Niven. Oh my. It really is you. A mischievous grin spread across her lips as she glided toward him, her movements graceful yet predatory. She circled behind him, her arms wrapping around his torso, pressing herself against his back. Her bare skin brushed against him, her breath hot against his ear. Niven. Tell me, Sparda. How's my beautiful, handsome devil doing? Everyone said you were gone, yet here you are. Back. Issei let out a deep laugh, enjoying the moment. Issei. It's been a long time, Niven. But let's save the reunion for later. First, we need to get the hell out of here. He turned his head slightly, his smirk playful yet serious. Issei. But do me a favor first, can you transform into a human form? Niven let out a sultry laugh, stepping away as she tilted her head coyly. Niven. Your orders are my actions, my knight. With a snap of her delicate fingers, a surge of purple lightning enveloped her, crackling around her body like a raging storm. The shadows around her shifted, morphing as she reshaped her form. When the light faded, Niven's human form stood before him. Her long, wavy crimson hair cascaded elegantly over her shoulders, framing her pale yet captivating face. Her golden eyes, now radiant and intense, seemed to glow with a supernatural allure. She was dressed in a black leather jacket over a form-fitting dark top, exuding a bold, rebellious aura. The black choker with a dangling purple gemstone rested against her neck, complementing the matching black earrings that added a touch of elegance to her otherwise edgy appearance. Niven smirked, placing a hand on her hip. Niven. Well. How do I look? Issei crossed his arms, giving an approving nod. Issei. Perfect. Now, let's get the hell out of here. The two would then exit the cell as they made their way out of the Grigori base. Underworld. Lucifer City. Meanwhile, in Lucifer City, the entire city was eerily silent. Deep within the sewers, 5 cloaked figures moved through the darkness, their footsteps barely making a sound against the damp stone. The first figure stepped forward and placed a magic circle against the wall. Within moments, they all took a step back as the circle flared to life before exploding, revealing a hidden entrance concealed behind the stone. Without hesitation, the 5 figures stepped inside. As soon as they entered, they were met with a squad of elite devil soldiers, their weapons already drawn, eyes glowing with hostility. Devil elite. Intruders. Without wasting a second, the elite devils flapped their wings, propelling themselves forward to strike. In response, the 5 figures summoned their own weapons, ready to face the oncoming onslaught. The moment the elite devil soldiers charged forward, the 5 cloaked figures sprang into action, their weapons flashing in the dim light of the sewers. The first figure, wielding a massive greatsword, took a step forward and swung his blade in a wide arc, unleashing a shockwave of raw demonic energy. The force sent 2 devils crashing into the sewer walls, their armor cracking from the impact. The second figure, moving with inhuman speed, vanished in a blur before reappearing behind an elite soldier. With a swift motion, a dagger plunged deep into the soldier's neck, silencing him instantly. The third figure, cloaked in dark flames, extended his hand, conjuring a whip-like chain of hellfire. With a flick of his wrist, the flaming chain wrapped around one soldier's throat, yanking him forward before the figure delivered a brutal knee strike to his face, shattering his skull. The fourth figure raised a hand, a crimson magic circle glowing at her fingertips. From the sigil, dark spears materialized and shot forward at blinding speed, piercing through the remaining soldiers like paper. The final figure, silent and motionless, simply extended his arm, and from the darkness, black tendrils erupted from the ground, skewering the last standing soldier. The body twitched for a moment before falling limp. The sewer fell silent once more, the only sound remaining was the dripping water and the fading crackle of hellfire. One of the figures stepped forward, his deep commanding voice breaking the quiet. "We're getting closer. Let's move." Without hesitation, the 5 figures disappeared into the darkened passageway, leaving only the corpses of their enemies behind. The scent of blood mixed with the damp air of the sewers, but none of them paid it any mind. Their objective was clear, and they would not be deterred. As they moved deeper into the hidden path, they soon encountered a magic barrier, its ominous glow pulsing like a living entity. This was no ordinary barrier, it was specifically designed to withstand attacks from even ultimate-class beings. A lesser force would have no hope of breaking through. Stepping forward without hesitation, Zasui revealed herself. With her slender fingers, she traced a pattern in the air, channeling forbidden magic that crackled with an eerie, dark energy. Her eyes gleamed as she whispered an incantation. The moment her spell was complete, the barrier shattered like glass, fragments of energy dissolving into the void. Beyond the broken barrier lay a dark, eerie tunnel, its walls ancient and worn. A foreboding aura clung to the air, thick and heavy with demonic power. The 5 moved cautiously, following the tunnel's winding path until they finally entered a vast chamber. The sheer magnitude of demonic energy surging through this place was overwhelming, sending chills through even the most hardened among them. At the center of the chamber, embedded in an obsidian pedestal, they saw it. The sword of legend. The myth. The force edge. Dormant yet radiating immeasurable power, this was the sealed form of the Dark Knight Sparda, a weapon of unparalleled might capable of bestowing immense demonic power upon its wielder. Zasui took a step forward, her eyes fixated on the weapon. "Zasui. We're here." Before she could take another step, a roaring ball of fire suddenly shot toward her. With lightning-fast reflexes, Zasui dodged, flipping to the side just in time to evade the incoming attack. The fireball exploded against the stone behind her, sending sparks and embers flying in all directions. From the shadows, a lone figure emerged. She stood tall and confident, the flickering flames around her casting an almost divine glow against her sleek black outfit. Her short black hair was tipped with vivid orange highlights, mirroring the flames that coiled around her body like living serpents. Her sharp golden eyes locked onto Zasui with a gaze filled with unyielding determination. The gold-trimmed black choker adorned her neck, accentuated by layered necklaces that gave her an aura of elegance and danger combined. A belt with chains rested at her hips, a symbol of her status and power. She was Catalan Doidian, the guardian of this sacred place, the devil, entrusted with keeping the Force edge from falling into the wrong hands. Her lips curled into a smirk. Catalan. Well. I was wondering when some rats would come crawling in here. She raised her hand, flames flickering at her fingertips, before forming a burning whip that cracked against the ground, leaving scorch marks where it touched. Catalan. If you think I'll just let you take that sword, you're dead wrong. Zasoi sighed, rolling her shoulders. Zasoi. I was hoping to avoid unnecessary fights, but I guess you won't just step aside, huh? Catalan grinned before suddenly lunging forward, her flame whip slashing through the air with terrifying speed. Zasoi barely dodged as the searing heat singed the edge of her cloak. The moment she landed, she kicked off the ground, closing the distance between them in an instant. She slammed her fist forward, aiming for Catalan's gut. But the flame user was faster than expected. She twisted her body, narrowly avoiding the punch, and countered with a flaming roundhouse kick aimed at Zasoi's ribs. Zasoi blocked with her forearm, wincing slightly as the heat scorched her sleeve, but she didn't let it slow her down. She retaliated with a devastating elbow strike, aiming for Catalan's jaw. Catalan barely managed to weave away, but Zasoi followed up immediately with a knee strike to the stomach, sending her skidding backward across the stone floor. Zasoi. You're not bad. But you're in my way. Catalan wiped a bit of blood from her lip, her grin widening. Catalan. Oh, I like you. But don't get cocky. She snapped her fingers, and suddenly, pillars of fire erupted from the ground, trapping Zasoi in a ring of flames. Catalan. Let's turn up the heat, shall we? Zasoi narrowed her eyes, clenching her fists. Zasoi. Bring it on. The real fight had just begun. Catalan flicked her wrist, and the flame whip cracked through the air, sending a wave of heat straight at Zasoi. The fiery tendril lashed out, aiming to ensnare her neck. Zasoi reacted instantly, ducking low. She spun on her heel and launched herself forward, dodging under the whip's arc. She closed the distance in an instant, her fist glowing with raw magic energy, as she drove a brutal punch straight toward Catalan's ribs. But Catalan was too fast. She twisted her body, narrowly evading the strike, then countered with a fiery backflip kick aimed at Zasoi's chin. Zasoi barely managed to block with her forearm, but the sheer heat of the flames burned through her sleeve, searing her skin. With a grunt, she pushed forward, grabbing Catalan's leg before she could land, and slamming her into the ground with monstrous force. Catalan hit the stone floor hard, a small crack forming beneath her. But she didn't stay down. Before Zasoi could press her advantage, Catalan's entire body ignited, a burst of fire exploding from her form, forcing Zasoi to leap back to avoid getting scorched. Catalan rose, her eyes gleaming with battle-hungry excitement. Catalan. Damn. You're good. But you're gonna have to do better than that. She snapped her fingers, and the flames around her surged, forming 3 blazing spears that hovered in the air behind her. With a flick of her hand, all 3 spears shot forward at once, aiming to impale Zasoi from different angles. Zasoi reacted fast. She sidestepped the first spear, but the second one was already coming at her from behind. Instead of dodging, she caught it mid-air, wincing as the heat scorched her palm before spinning and redirecting it straight at Catalan. Catalan's eyes widened in surprise, but she smashed it away with her whip before it could hit her. That momentary distraction was all Zasoi needed. She dashed in, her footwork perfect, weaving past the final spear and closing the gap in the blink of an eye. Before Catalan could react, Zasoi drove her knee into her stomach with bone-crushing force. Catalan gasped in pain, but instead of stumbling back, she grinned through gritted teeth. Catalan. Gotcha. Her hands ignited once more, and she grabbed onto Zasoi's shoulders. Suddenly, a violent burst of flames erupted between them. Zasoi's eyes widened as the flames engulfed her, the intense heat threatening to consume her completely. But then, she stopped. Zasoi froze in place, her entire body stiffening. Catalan narrowed her eyes, confused by the sudden pause. Catalan. The hell are you? Before she could finish, Zasoi stepped back, completely ignoring the fight. The flames around her flickered as she turned away. Without a word, Zasoi withdrew, leaving Catalan standing there, perplexed but wary. Something had changed. Something or someone had just given Zasoi an order. And their communication was secret and private, to which no one would hear it. Zasoi. Yes, Lord Pexinox. With that, Zasoi glanced over her shoulder, her piercing gaze meeting her comrades'. A subtle nod was all it took, the signal to retreat. She then turned back to Catalan, the guardian of the Dark Knight sword, her lips curling into a knowing smirk. Zasoi. Let me tell you something, Guardian. This was merely a message. The beginning of a new age. Catalan furrowed her brows, her grip tightening on her weapon. Catalan. What the hell are you talking about? Zasoi merely chuckled, the eerie glow of her crimson eyes intensifying. Zasoi. A new age for the righteous ruler of the underworld. No, not just the underworld but the entire universe itself. Soon, he will rise, and when he does, She leaned in slightly, her voice a chilling whisper. Zasoi. He will be the faction alliance's worst nightmare. Before Catalan could respond, Zasoi and her remaining comrades dissolved into swirling tendrils of dark energy, vanishing into the shadows. The silence that followed was almost deafening. Catalan let out a deep sigh, lowering her weapon, but remaining on high alert. Catalan. TCH. I swear, peace never lasts in this damn world. She lifted her gaze to the darkened skies above, her mind racing. Whatever this righteous ruler was. Whoever they were referring to. It wasn't over. And deep down, Catalan knew this was just the beginning. The entire scene suddenly transitioned into a glass with the last image of Catalan and then. Bang. 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 The glass became shattered, transitioning into the word. Mission 1. End. Mission rank. S. That's it guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.